So if you all are otherwise done in Tourmaline, you are aware that it's about a 3 mile hike on your way to Lonelywood. There is a trail that largely follows the northern edge of Maer Dualdon, and you can follow that on your way there before the last little bit kind of enters the woods. But that will take you approximately 2 hours.
Let's go then.
Let's go.
I'm right behind you.
So heading out, you have pretty fair weather. It's only about negative 45 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the point where it is combined with the Celsius. So it's negative 45 degrees. You could almost pee and have it freeze before it hits the ground. You're almost there. But you all can start to head off west of Tourmaline as you kind of start to wind a little bit to the south. You have much of the wind from Kelvin's cairn coming from behind you. This is one of the few times where the wind is broken by so many trees that there is cover overhead as some of the snow kind of blows over, but there's a lot more gaps in the snow today. There's a lot less snow being picked up. The winds are a little bit calmer, and in general, you're getting a much more beautiful view of the aura as you take this walk. But first good bit of your walk goes without any worries or any issues at all. Have you all anything that you would like to do after about the first hour of walking?
Yeah, I actually have question. So, like, which direction are we? We're coming from what is it, Tourmaline towards Lonelywood, correct?
Yeah, this map really sucks. This is one of the few times that I don't always have the map oriented north to south. If you look on the very right side of the map, you'll see that it is almost directly west from Tourmaline to Lonelywood,
Okay, I
even
see it.
though it
Okay.
looks like it's northwest.
Uh,
But
Here.
yeah, and that's almost directly west. It's a little bit south.
So I would like to check if there is some tracks of movement, carts, something like that, because we are looking for the Torg merchants.
You can do a survival check. You're on a pretty hard, um, pretty reasonable to assume that it is like a permafrost sort of trail slash road, where the snow itself is pretty well hard packed. In general, there's signs of movement along this place. Plenty of it is tracked. Plenty of it is snowshoes. Plenty of it is what would appear to be sleds. But in the long run, there's not a whole lot of evidence how new or fresh things are versus just the aspect that this is like a well-traveled um, way between these two places.
Okay.
Question: are there any animals or anything wildlife related around us?
Do a perception check.
All right, first one. So 7.
Um, Walking around, you see signs, perhaps, of people out fishing on the lake at different points of time. Um, Both people who are actually ice fishing and people who are out on boats, much more towards the center of Dualden. Inside of the forest, you don't really see a whole lot that might be happening. You're probably about 50 yards away from the forest at any given point, and you're sure there's chances that there's wildlife that's looking after you, but you never actually notice anything.
I would like to use the lantern to see if that Twingus. I don't know how to say the name, but you know what I mean.
You don't have to worry about how to say it in the least bit. If you say it, that works.
Yeah, Twingus. I don't know. I would like to see.
Pulling out the lantern, I think it's supposed to be green and it turns red, or it's red and it turns green. I feel like it's red and it turns green. So pulling out the lantern, it shines normal red light and doesn't appear to be anywhere near Chewingas at present.
Okay, that's all. That's all I want to do.
So we have a magic lantern that reveals the presence of this creature. Is that what it is?
Yes. Sorry we didn't mention this where you were. But yes, we had when you got we get the quest, the person that gave us this lantern.
Okay.
So keep going, right?
Yeah, I say we keep going. Should be almost there.
Yep.
So continuing on into the afternoon, the wind picks up in this later portion of your actual travels. Gets a little bit tougher, but it's still almost like a little bit more normal than it is rough here. You're having certainly to buffer yourself against the wind. It's making much more of like an actual like funnel as it rounds over the trees and picks up speed into that low air pressure zone that you're kind of hanging out in. But in general, still making good time. It's a little bit more difficult to see, but you can very much feel the difference between the hard compact and the loose snow that you don't really have any worry about going off of this trail as you're progressing forward. About halfway through, you do start to vary into the woods a little bit, and you eventually start to make your way closer and closer to where you see on the opposite end of the woods sign of smoke rising from chimneys, as well as the clear open tundra of what you are pretty sure you can assume is the lake that you are coming up on. But at present, like the way it kind of plays out, you're seeing the snow that's well beyond the actual lake on the other side of the trail, or on the other side of the lake, before you actually see the water itself. In that next hour, anything else that you all have in mind?
No, I don't have anything else to do or to say.
Gerhard has nature, and he'd be curious if this bitter cold is beginning to sort of is more than these trees would normally withstand, or sort of like how bad is this bitter cold versus what this type of land would normally be used to.
Like, do you want to cut a tree down to see?
No, just I mean, just like oh, this pine tree, like can easily withstand 45 degrees below, or this maple tree is not used to such bitter colds, and this whole forest will all the maples in this forest will die soon.
So
Just a
without
general
cutting one
perception.
down, you're just looking at them. You can do a nature check, but it's going to be a supremely high DC.
All right.
You are thoroughly surprised that even pine trees are able to survive in this cold, especially that it is 2-something years into the cold.
That's it for me.
How far are we from the village?
Essentially, at this point, you all are walking up into the village. So unless you had anything else,
Yo.
you are basically coming from this east path and starting to head west. The closer you get, the more you see of like this actual like fishing building that is off from one of those piers, and you're pretty much right on top of it before you see the first of those houses that is kind of north west of you. What would you like to do as you all approach Lonelywood?
I think we should look for uh, an inn or a tavern. Maybe see where is the town's speaker house. See if there's something they know.
So, in general, I think it's pretty well established that most people don't really have any sort of signage that you're just going to see evidence on the outside of their buildings. Again, this is an Arctic tundra where people are shut up inside of their homes. How would you like to find out where those different locations are?
I think we found the way to find things is to knock on doors. So I think the this house here. Let me we hit this house here. I'd like to knock it on the door of.
Who goes there? You hear as nobody actually opens the door, but they kind of yell from the opposite side.
Just travelers, sir. We are looking for information to find a tavern and maybe the town speaker.
If you're looking for Nimsy, keep on heading down the row. We don't want any trouble here. And you just hear silence from the other side of the door.
Thank you.
There's no response. Depending on how long you wait, there's still no response.
Okay, so he said the water side of the road. I'm gonna think is like that. I think I'm gonna take a risk. The first house crossing the road.
No, no, I think he said down the road.
Let me get perceptions from you all here. Zell, can you roll a perception? Brule, what's the difference between your persuasion, what's that modifier, and your perception modifier?
I'm sorry.
We're still going with the 12 rolled, but just what's the modifier?
0.
Gotcha.
So it's 12.
So I think regardless, waiting on Zell is perfectly fine. But as you all start to head down, you notice pretty much up to where you are here, all of the tracks along this are pretty similar. The closer that you actually get to that next house just beyond, you do see that there's increased traffic to the house just beyond it on the north side of the road. And you're probably close enough, I think, at that point that you see a lot of the traffic seems to turn south once it gets towards the lake itself. But at present, you all are able to make out that that seems to be a key location, and that seems to be a key location, just kind of turning south along that area at the map.
So we go first at nearest house that you mentioned. Brew knock the door again. Hello? Anyone there?
Does the house have any kind of sign, like even a board hanging on a sign, or anything like that? Anything that maybe like a tavern sign or a crest of the town or anything?
In general, you all, I think of all the buildings that you've looked at, you've seen one building that has something hanging outside of it at this point. This place coming up to it, though, there's no real signage. Again, most of these houses are boarded up, shut in from the cold. That's part of, I think, what is like the overlying tendency of how these homes are built. They seem like at some point they were built a little more traditional like homes, but now they are 100% shelters away from the weather. But as you knock on the door, it's not long after before you hear, Hello? Welcome, welcome!" And you hear like a few kind of knocks from the opposite side of the door until eventually the door opens. Come in, quick, quick, shut the door behind you.
Brew enters.
Gerhard enters after Brule.
I assume Zell enters too. I don't know if he's up around here.
Yeah, I feel like he might have stepped away or he might not hear us.
Let's check in the chat.
Yeah, I think he might have just stepped away kind of thing.
Okay.
So the three of you are invited in. You can step in. Before you see a woman who's not like terribly well bundled up, but she does have like kind of a shawl thrown around her, so she's like wrapped in blankets. And you see she's got a pretty thick frame, so it's pretty easy to understand that perhaps she has like a lot of blankets kind of thrown around her at present, and she has a much smaller face than her frame would kind of give way to. But she kind of nods to you all and welcomes you. Looking to shut the door, she kind of pushes past you after a quick moment, starts to push the door closed, and she's just got like multiple like boards that are kind of hinged, so she can drop them down over the door, and they just lock into, pretty simple kind of U-hooks. So the board like actually wedges the door shut from the winds. And then once the door is shut and the last bits of snow kind of calm down inside, she kind of turns around to you all. Hello, hello. Welcome to Lonelywood. What are your names?
Hello, I'm Brew. This one here is Zell. And here is my friend Gerard. We are travelers. We just arrived in town. Some fellow at a house on the side of the road said to talk to Nancy. I assume that's probably you, but I don't know.
As soon as you say your name, she's reaching out her hand, and she's, Zell, Nimsy, good to meet you. Gerhard, good to meet you, Nimsy. Brule, good to meet you, Nimsy. Well, welcome to Lonelywood. Yes, you've found me. Welcome. Have you traveled far? Are you hungry? What can I do for you?
Uh, who Brew looks around. You offer us food, but here is not a tavern. I appreciate the offer. Actually, we are looking for some information. If you could lend us some of your time.
Well, Gerhard puts his hand on Brule's shoulder and says, "Well, I suppose the first thing we need is rooms for the night. So if there is an inn, we'll certainly would certainly appreciate uh, directions to that." Um,
You see her disposition go a little sour as you bring up an inn. Well, we don't have an inn. You're welcome to stay in my attic. It does get some heat from the house, so you won't be freezing, and you'll be covered from the elements. I have two people staying here right now, but you all are more than welcome to stay. It has room for your three and perhaps a few more. If more people come to town, we don't have, like, and she looks back to Brule, we don't have a lot of welcoming folk, to travelers. There's hard times. Hard times. Uh, yes, we don't have an inn. Very sorry. Would you like to sit down? I can make some pine tea. Anything? Do you care? Just a warm drink should be nice. Where are you coming from?
Uh, of course, I will accept your kind offer of a hot drink. Yeah, we are coming from Tourmaline. Bruce sits on the nearest to the chair.
Uh,
How was the journey?
okay.
Was it? Oh, what's up? Welcome back.
I was here. I'm sorry. I was doing something, so I couldn't really talk, but I heard it.
All good. Excellent.
Uh,
Yes, I was just saying Zell takes a seat like across from Bro.
Your hospitality is somewhat overwhelming. Is there anything we can do to help you with the pine tea, or is there anything we can do to pay you back for this generosity?
Oh, um, I it's kind of my job to welcome people and try to bring people into the best of situations. Um, but no, I would offer tea to everybody, even the most destitute.
Speaking of destitute, um, what's the story of this town really? Like, is there any trouble going on that has you being so welcoming to newcomers?
Oh, there, there's a lot of trouble for all of Icewind Dale. But we we have our issues as much as the next. There's certainly things happening. Um, but no, we're doing fine. Um, Hunter goes missing here and there. Can't really help that,
Uh,
but there's nothing to worry about.
you know, lady, we help the Terminate city. We are clear the mine for them, so we have some experience in food problems. But I understand if you prefer not to speak about these things. But we are here looking for information, but we are also trained soldiers and warriors, and we can help you if you have any kind of problem that needs something like that.
Well, those are all good things. Definitely good things. And we certainly can use anybody who comes to spend coin from outside. It's always a good thing for our local businesses. If you have any interest in any scrimshaw, there's more than adequate options here to get some beautiful carvings. If you'd like any of those, don't fail to go check out the Happy Scrimshander. It is a fantastic location to get all of your wonderful trinkets and needs, and no doubt you'll find Iriski quite friend. Well, you'll find her there.
What was that name? Was it Ersky?
Iriski.
So Gerhard takes in the room they're in. Does it look? I mean, is it well appointed? Is it kind of destitute? Basically, he's wondering if this were an inn, how much would a room here cost?
This is definitely not an inn.
No, I get that, but he's basically on the verge of offering, some coins to help, pay for, just help out with the situation, and he's just trying to get a sense of whether copper or silver would be the appropriate currency.
You can make out signs that the actual place itself, this is probably the most wood that you've seen in any particular home that you would have been inside of in the 10 towns. which would not be surprising, being the fact that you just walk through a forest. Among other things, you can pick out that while this is a nice, open, large room itself, there are a lot of signs that pretty much everything is constructed of wood in this location. And then, in particular, that while she is like a little kind of spinster of a lady, like the kind of architecture is still like austere for what it is, and you can see signs of her having decorated this. I think that would kind of point out to you that again, this is a speaker's house, not necessarily her house. But in particular, this is like a larger location that is given to the speaker while they are elected. And I think you all would be pretty familiar that at this point, the speakers are effectively by popular demand. Um, Other than kind of those signs, like I don't think you're going to necessarily have a lot to go on because again, this is not an inn, and you're not being offered a room. You're being offered a place that is sheltered from the cold. But in general, she already pointed out that she's not asking you for anything. She's offering it. So you are welcome to take that as you will on what you would want to offer to her. But at present, she has pretty much said everything is, this is the kindness that I would afford to anybody.
Okay, Gerhard's hand moves away from his purse now that he realizes that she probably is the speaker and not simply a person offering the use of her home.
I would like to ask her, like, is there any leadership in this village, or is like what kind of leadership do they have in this village?
Well, I'm the town speaker, so I'm the leader as far as a lot of things go. What in particular are you looking for, Wise?
Okay. Um, really, more so just kind of getting a feel for the, I guess you could say, nature of the town. The towns we've passed through had some turbulence, and this one seems quieter, more kind of off-putting.
Um, if normalcy seems so hard to take in, perhaps that might be something internal to yourself. But we have a wonderful town, and albeit we have our issues, a lot of them are related to the rhyme, but most certainly we try to do everything that we can for others. Um, I don't in particular understand what you would be looking for that would be so horrendous, but other than that, we're just one of the 10 towns, albeit a little bit smaller perhaps than some of the others, but we do try to keep to ourselves and we benefit greatly from being the general provider of wood to most everyone else who is here.
We have some business with a caravan that travels among the 10 towns. Do you know the caravan of which we speak? Torx is the name?
She does come by here pretty regularly, and they are able to offer us some goods for sale when they do arrive. They tend to set up in one of the locations nearest to the actual water, so both fishermen as well as the woodsmen are able to locate them. Quite often they're up near the Lucky Liar, towards the north end of town in one of the northernmost piers.
Is the Lucky Liar a scrimshander's uh, place, or it seems
No,
more like
no,
a tavern?
it's a little bit beyond the Happy Scrimshander, and yes, it is our tavern.
And the caravan. When was the last time you see it? And do you expect it soon, perchance?
They come pretty regularly, once a month. Um, I feel like perhaps they were here. It might have been close to the start of the month, so perhaps they'll be coming back soon. It's really hard to predict. Torque often will go where she knows people are in need of goods, and she often will keep a list of what people are looking for in particular, hopeful that perhaps she can satisfy those needs and be able to supply them to her happy customers, us.
I think the entire time they're talking, Zell's kind of like looking around with this face, like not suspicion, but it's like he kind of has this air of uncomfortability, like he's on edge.
There's a lot of like nice portraits around this actual home, like hanging from the walls, and you kind of notice as you like look around that the freshest one is indeed of her, and some of the other ones are pretty much predominantly old, dusty old men, and they get older and older. But you can kind of gather that there seems to be maybe like every 5 or 10 years that they elect a new speaker. But these people tend to age pretty well before they are a speaker, and she seems pretty young, but that her picture also is her much younger.
You said before, Bruce says, that you have been losing hunters. Why that? Why that's happening? It's the wolves. Is a natural situation that happens in time to time, or something is not that is odd.
Everything is more difficult with the rhyme. It's hard to have any good lighting. But in particular, yes, we've been having a lot of trouble inside of the actual woods just because the darkness is so thorough. It's not something that we can really help a whole lot. I like to think it's our own mistakes, not finding our ways home. But there's nothing to worry about. People get lost on a regular basis.
Gerhard has, I think it's insight. So he's listening to. He's wondering how truthfully to take that assurance of it's nothing.
You can roll an insight check.
Not joining.
What are you listening for? I need you guys to ask questions if you want to roll dice, not just
Um,
joining in an insight check. Tell
was
me what you're
she
listening for. Tell me what you're hearing. Tell me what you're thinking that you think you are rolling an insight check.
she mentioned people going missing or like the kind of basically people going missing. So I was wanting to see like is she kind of downplaying it as like oh yeah this happens every once in a while because of the area, or is she downplaying it like oh this is like she's trying to make it seem like it's not a bigger problem than what it is, like basically she trying to play it off as a not so rare occurrence, or is it just happening more often like recently?
Um, in particular, you can roll, but you're going to be at disadvantage. Part of, in general, what I would want is this is partly to reward Gerhard for actually taking insight as part of his character. And that's one of the things. Generally, it is limited to skills that you have, and especially for social stuff like this. That asking the right question is good, and it will often get you a roll, but following somebody who's already asking that question, I don't want to penalize him for one, asking a good question, and two, having his character designed for this on some level. So you can
Yeah,
roll, but in
imagine.
general, I'm not going to let you make that roll.
Okay.
But
So
like,
disadvantage.
it's not to punish you. It's meant to like reward people who take the skills and reward people who ask the right questions. Asking the right question is usually the only way that I'm going to let you take a roll where you don't actually have that skill.
Okay. So disadvantage. Yeah.
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 So you gain a pretty solid knowledge that these people are 2 years into this. Then the eternal night is getting far too familiar for them. Um, and there's certainly something that she is reticent about, but it's also pretty evident that it's normal for these people that people die. This is a horrendous place to live, and people are in Icewind Dale for a reason.
Okay.
So, just w- like as we said, we are looking for information and look for work also. Uh, you heard the name Hafizan by any chance?
I don't believe I have. Is it somebody who lives here?
We are trying to find out more about this person, but we don't have much to go on unless but their name. That's why we're asking. We asked in term lane. It's something related to what something happened in Bremen. So we are trying to find out more information about it.
I don't think there's somebody who lives in my town. I've got a pretty good understanding of everybody who's here. Um, so very sorry there. If you're looking for work, there's a lot of loggers that you can join the logging expeditions, or there's a lot of need for fishermen. We could always use more food. It's quite valuable to export to some of the landlocked places. There's never enough trout.
We're more attuned to uh, dealing with problematic creatures and people. Um, do you happen to know of any? So, okay, wait a second. I'm going to have to go a little out of character here because I missed this first week in this. The thing that we have a magic lantern to detect is that a creature or is
Elementals. They are not dangerous
but they're not dangerous. So okay, but and what are we supposed to do? Like, why are we looking for them?
because someone is paying us to capture one and bring to her.
The young lady who hired them gave them the lantern, hoping to have them find and capture a Chwinga, which is an elemental creature that she is looking to prove that they exist.
Okay, so back in character. So Gerhard asks, "Have you ever heard of a being called a Twinga?"
I can't say that I have. What are they? Can you tell me about them? Is it somebody who lives here?
Like I said, we are we are basically we have a job that makes look for these creatures. Someone wants to prove that they exist, so we are trying to find out more information about them too. Like see, we are very like I said, busy people working out and trying to find things to people. We solve problems. That's the question. You are here to offer our services too.
Busybodies. You may want to be weary being busybodies in Lonelywood. Be careful. Yeah, be careful. There's. Yeah.
Be
Uh,
careful of what exactly.
may I ask?
Being busybodies in Lonelywood, it's a dangerous thing. People are in Icewind Dale for a reason.
Well, I think it's all we don't think of ourselves as busybodies. I regret that you took that from us. My friends, perhaps we should go to this Lucky Liar Tavern and have a meal before coming back and spending the night here.
If
Man,
our dear speaker doesn't mind, we leave for a moment before we spend the night. We should visit the tavern.
Yeah, I usually lock the door around 10 o'clock or so just make sure to be back before then. Other than that, please don't get too drunk. I want to welcome you, but I don't want to babysit you.
Not worry, we are not going to get drunk. We're gonna drink something to get warm, to know the people. We get back. We're gonna get back here and behave. Don't worry.
I believe you said the tavern was on the north side of the town. How will we tell it when we come to it?
If you follow yourselves to our last pier, as the town starts to turn with the lake a little bit to the east, you'll find it is the next building. It's got a pretty wide porch that you're able to spot. Um, but just make sure to walk to the last pier, go one more building, and you'll be fine.
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Bruce look at the others and say, "Shall we go? Let's know more about the town."
Gerhard nods.
Zell stands up and goes towards the door and gives like a respectful like nod to the speaker.
Bruce follows there. We leave the house.
Be well, stay warm. And she slams the door back behind you, and you hear the clicking and clacking as she once again locks it.
Bruce says in a very low voice, "I don't know if she's too eager or something not clicking around here. I don't know what you guys think."
Zell looks at bro, and I thought I was the only one. Look, he looks at Gerhardt. How do you do it? This social.
Well, in Tourmaline, I was the paranoid one, so I just switched between towns. But look, I think that in this town, we might want to downplay the adventure. I think we might want to be cautious about putting ourselves out as adventurers.
Yeah, I think we learned enough about this in Targos. Now I think we should be discreet, but I found this speaker a bit odd because she seems to think it's normal for people dying in the snow. It's okay, but something else she's not telling us. I don't know. Something bothers me about this place, but it may be paranoia. Maybe I'm getting like Gerard now.
Uh, she seemed. Uh, I couldn't tell if she was lying or telling the truth when she was saying that it was nothing. It does seem strange to me that she was so adamant about insisting that uh, even in these hard times, there was nothing to be worried about. She seemed to protest too much about that.
That's the point. I found that so strange. There is always something that happens, especially with all we heard about the the night that never goes away.
So I assume we're doing this as we're walking. I mean, we're walking along up to the tavern. Um, and okay, so Gerhard says, once in the tavern, let's see if we can find out more about these missing hunters. But again, as you say, Brule, let's be discreet about it.
I agree.
As
Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. Go, please.
I think we should first just hear what people say. Then, if you have something we need to find out more, maybe you can ask some questions. But first, let's just sit there, hear people what they say, how this town works, so to speak.
Gerhard nods.
As we're walking around, can I like kind of look around to see if there's anyone out or if they're like anyone on the water or anything like that? Kind of get like a feel for like the town itself. Like, does it look like it's in shambles? Does it look more well kept than the other towns?
Roll a perception check.
Ah, 22.
Looking around, the town looks pretty nice. It's pretty similar to the actual speaker's house, where this is, again, one of the few places where they're not for lack of wood, and it is quite clear in their construction projects. As far as things go, they have one of the nicest fleets that you all have seen. They have some of the biggest boats. You would recognize some of them out on the water from some of the initial trips, like going out in Bremen. All of them have a very similar mast that displays the Lonelywood crest, which is a large green shield with 2 points of white that come to the center. Uh, Something that you would have recognized from like a few of the smaller ornaments, probably within the actual speaker's house as well there. Um, Walking around the town itself, there's not a whole lot of activity at this point in the day in the town. But you do see that there are people who are fishing out on the actual ice, just as much as there are people out on the actual boats. But it's pretty easy to gather that probably the people who are out on the ice are the ones who are destitute and can't buy fish. They are out there to try to catch their own fish, and perhaps if they catch some extra, be able to sell that someplace else. But other than that, there's not a whole lot to pick up in the town. It's one of the nicer ones. It has a good solid bit of protection from the north, the gale winds, so these houses are not as covered in snow, but they are still boarded up in very similar ways, where these places are designed to retain as much heat as possible. Um, or rather, they have been adapted to retain as much heat. There are certainly signs in a lot of these places that at one point homes had windows, but now these homes do not have windows. So you all can otherwise make your way up past the last of the docks, kind of looking off to the east. You can spot there's no more docks. Looking off to the south, you spot the last of the dock. You see it pointing to the one house. Seems like it's probably a like boarding house of sorts, and you are able to pretty quickly see that a lot of the actual trail in this area leads to this next location, and you can walk on up and approach the door. It opens at your leisure, and you have walked into the Lucky Liar.
Just along the way, Gerhard was looking at the other buildings they passed, and this is particularly because I think she said that the Happy Scrimshander was along the way. So again, so along there, walking to the tavern, he would have been looking for a sign uh, or something that looked maybe more like a commercial establishment as opposed to just a house, or a sign outside, something that would be a hint that this might be the Happy Scrimshander.
You could roll a perception and an insight. Because I don't think you guys got a good description from her of where it would be.
It's, okay.
You see most of the foot traffic is leading to like these three and that location. So from what you could guess, the Lucky Scrimshander is probably one of these two. But other than that, there's not really any signs for you to pick up.
Okay. Gerhard enters the tavern, the Lucky Liar.
What do we see inside?
Stepping inside the Lucky Liar, it's a pretty small location. They've got about 6 or 8 tables total. 2 of them are long tables that go pretty much the full length of the actual building. There is a hearth along the far side of it with a big stone wall that seems to be the like central oven that they might be cooking from on the opposite side. Like it's open on both ends, so you can kind of see into the kitchen a little bit there. Stepping inside, there's not really anybody to be seen at this point in the day. It seems pretty quiet, and as the door kind of slams behind you from the air pressure difference, you eventually hear somebody who kind of makes their way out. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Lonely Liar. My name's Danae. How can I help you?
Isn't Luke a liar? How this guy looks like?
Just an older gentleman. Seems to be about 5 foot tall. He's got long, dark black hair. He's dressed in pretty warm clothing. You can see that he has leathers underneath, like his kind of open, like fur-lined, like vest over him. And he's got like a leather actual like under shirt underneath that. He's got a big old like half cloak on that kind of comes down just past his actual waist. That's kind of like a heat source for him as he walks around. But other than that, he has pretty basic like brown pants on, and he seems to be in the process of let's go butchering a fish. He's got like some blood on his hands, and a knife in his hand. But other than that, just seems to be like a pretty typical human. Probably late 40s, maybe 50s.
So, hello, sir. Uh, we are travelers. We are looking for some ale. Who you might be?
Danae. What was your name there, sir? And I can definitely do an ale for you.
My name is Bru.
I'll join in with that ale.
Excellent. And your name, sir? What's your name?
Gerhard, Danae. Pleasure to meet you.
Oh, good to meet you, Gerhard. And he looks back to Zell.
And you gotta go by Zelf as Zell for short.
Good to meet you, Zell. Ale for you as well there, Gerhard?
Oh, yes, please. Is it getting towards evening? Would dinner be? Is it too early for dinner? Or, I mean, we haven't eaten for 4 hours, right?
Yeah, you all would be about like, I think 4-ish would kind of be pushing it. But like 3:30, probably 3:30 to 4-ish, I think would be about like the latest it would be.
All right. Ale, just drinking it is.
Zell raises glass. Cheers to Lonelywood. I guess.
Yeah,
Clink.
Lonelywood. Uh, I asked to deny. Don't seem to have too many people right now. Everyone is working and the forest, fishing.
Most people are gonna do what they can out of doors until the aura is gone, and they'll hopefully be coming by as the night comes on. Um, we still have a pretty steady supply of ale, and that makes things a little bit better for us. But yes, hopefully people will be coming by shortly.
So how things are around here? Everything going as expected with all this cold and the night that never ends.
Uh, yeah, things go uh, on. They do. And he'll set down 3 mugs, and he'll just kind of like look over to you all. That'll be 6 silver, 2 apiece, if you please.
Bruce raises his hands. That on me. I pay the knife.
So he'll collect those silver, and he is walking back towards the kitchen.
Gerhard, I mean, isn't 6 silver pretty steep for? I mean, 2 silvers a piece for an ale. Isn't that quite steep?
Do you want to ask?
No, this would be based on his experience. I mean, they've been drinking at previous 10 towns, in the previous places they've been.
So, I mean, you will already know the answer to that question, unless you want to ask why you're being charged that.
Okay, once Danae,
you're asking a question that you know, so.
Okay, okay. Once Danae steps away, Gerhard whispers to his companions, "Isn't 2 silver a little steep for an ale?"
Yes, but let's think. We are in the middle of a forest without probably any means to do more ale. I guess is supply and demand. I guess.
It makes me think this town, again whispering, it makes me think this town is a little more well off than it might seem at first.
That's somewhat of the uncomfortable feeling. Everyone seems affected by the night, but not so much what else is going around the other towns.
Yeah, that's something not quite as the same on the other towns. The other towns have problems of all kinds. Bremen had the problem with the sea monster. Targos have that problem, and that I don't even want to start. But the town speaker is crazy. Tourmaline have that problem with the mines. Here, it doesn't have any problems. Other,
Mm-hmm. A place that has its problems is a place that's somewhat uh, maybe just trying to look good.
I
Maybe just have one ale here and then see if we can hear anything at the Scrimshander before coming back here once maybe the dinner crowd arrives.
sounds like a good plan because I don't think we should pressure the old man over there about with more information. You know how these guys get after a few questions.
So Janae's pretty hands off. He walked away soon after having you pay for the ales. So you all are welcome to hang out there as long as you'd like before you head over to the Scrimshander. Um, how long do you think you're there for? You guys chugging your ales and you're leaving?
I think we should take our time.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we're in any rush. If it's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I wouldn't be in any rush to get to the Scrimshanders before 4 in the afternoon.
I want take the time to split the coins I have from the last quest. So I gonna pass 10 gold coins to each of them and hold on to the another 20 gold for the others.
I mean, I can put the other 10 on Sanjival.
Yeah, so I keep 13. Everyone gets 10 gold.
So, Tingle.
Thank you.
Like I said, I would carry the money. Now we are a quite safe place. We can split without people looking at us.
Good question to the DM, but the sea monster that was attacking Brennan, is that only located in Brennan, or was there reports of it going into other villages or towns?
You all have an answer for him?
If I recall, it's only in Bremen because the creature said that Heaven wanted him to attack the ships of Bremen because Ariel hates Bremen. So I assume he doesn't want to go too far from Bremen.
Okay.
And while you all were out there, you would have seen boats from Lonelywood, Targos, and Tourmaline out there. So you all can hang out at the Lucky Liar, do those different things that you would like. Eventually, heading on over to the the Happy Scrimshander. About like 4:30 or so. You figure you're spending like an hour inside of the Lucky Liar.
Sure.
Did anyone come in while we were sitting there?
At this point, no. Part of what Danae was getting across to you is, in general, when you guys go to taverns, if you're not going to a tavern at night or almost like at the crack of dawn, people are probably outside doing what they can while they have any light to see by.
Yeah, we could go to the shop to look what kind of things they have there, and you could ask some question to the shop owner. But I I don't think there is nothing you can do around here if everyone is hiding their problems.
Gerhard
So
nods.
you all can make your way to the Happy Scrimshander. Upon opening the door, you can walk in, and this place is cluttered with bone. There is bones everywhere, with all kinds of different art carved into them. Things like picturesque views of Kelvin's cairn. There's an entire section of a couple of thousand bones that are carved with pictures of trout on them. There are trees carved into bone. There's an entire section of like tusks and horns that are carved into glasses with pictures of beer on them, with happy people dancing while they drink beer, with happy people drinking beer while they are not dancing. There are all kinds of things carved into bone. And there's a tiny little old woman who's kind of just walking around, and she's clearly hunched over and kind of like natural position is like just kind of staring towards the ground, leaning on her cane that she holds in her right hand, and she eventually kind of like makes her way to you all with like very slow, purposeful movements that are always accompanied by the click of her cane hitting the ground. Just shuffle, shuffle, click, shuffle, shuffle, click. And she eventually makes her way over to you all and she's, "Oh, welcome to the Happy Scrimshander. How are you all today?"
Good afternoon, uh, lady. We are fine. I'm Brew. This is
Oh,
Gerard.
hello, hello. Hello, Gerard, hello.
So we have an interesting shop here. You carved all this, all this?
I've carved a lot of them, yes, yes. Some of them are on consignment. You can see the ones that are on consignment have the red string wrapped around the price tags.
Beautiful, beautiful. Gerhard picks up some, one that just catches his eye and takes a look at the price tag.
Describe which one you pick up.
Oh, he picks up one that is a tusk or some such that is carved with a scenic scene of the cairn, Kevin's cairn, or whatever it's called.
Oh, that's a fine piece. That's a genuine walrus tusk from the grinding ice. It's a very old piece. I believe that walrus was almost 1,200 pounds when we harvested it, almost 50 years ago now. It's aged quite well before being hollowed, and I believe the carving was done by I think that's a local fellow, Ray.
Well, Ray is prodigiously talented. What would something like this cost?
I think it's marked there. I think that one is 2 gold.
While they're looking around, can I like see what kind of bones these are? Like, are these animal, like mostly animal bones, or are they like human bones mixed in there, or humanoid?
Make a perception check. Looking around, you don't really spot any signs of things that would incline you towards them being humanoid.
Brew would like to look at a horn that could be used to drink ale. Uh, he looks around to find one that he has a more martial appearance.
You said martial?
Yeah, more warlike.
Describe it to me.
Yeah, maybe in the horn has some kind of uh, axis crossed or something related to weapons or something tribal in origin.
Can I take a walk around while they're looking at their items?
Most certainly.
And she said the we could stay in the attic, right?
You're leaving the Scrimshander?
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the speaker's house. The Skirmshander is the shop, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, Scrimshander is literally carved bones, basically.
Okay. Uh, yeah, I'm just going to take a walk around and see like if anything kind of sticks out a bit.
I mean, sure, yeah, you are more than welcome to.
I've any luck with the horn? I found a good
Yeah, give
horn.
me 1 second, Brill. I want to actually describe that one to you, because I think you picked a good idea.
If Gerhard realizes Zell is leaving, he says, it looked like a lot of people were traveling to the south side of town. You might take a look below the road we came in.
Oh, there's not much to the south in town. We're pretty much just some houses down there.
Gerhard's interested in that statement because he was of the impression that when they traveled, wait a second. Gerhard seems to remember that there were quite a few footsteps that a lot of the people seem to be turning south from the main road, if I understood the description correctly.
You did.
So Gerhard uh, nods at Hersky's statement, but well, he nods at Hersky's statement and says, "Oh well, still maybe I'll go with you, my friend."
That horn there was taken from one of the saber-toothed tigers from the tiger tribe. It's a very friendly creature that you normally wouldn't want to tangle with. I believe that was lost in battle when it received an injury from a giant. And they were kind enough to, in a sizable trade, offer that up. But I thought that was a good piece to honor the battle, as you can see with some of those wonderful emblems, and it's one thing that the tribe of the tiger are quite pleased with how it's come up, though they don't trade in coins, so I never really offered it back to them. But that is a fine drinking horn if you were so inclined.
Yes, I do find very beautiful. How much are you selling this horn?
That one has a little higher of a price. I need to ask 3 gold for it.
How about if about uh, 2 gold and 50 silver?
2 gold, 50 silver sounds good, but 3 gold sounds delightful.
How about that? How about 2 gold and 75 silver?
Oh, 3 gold sounds wonderful.
Are you not willing to mm, make something to work here? I trying to haggle a bit.
What do you have in mind that you could offer that might be of value to me? If you want to do a persuasion, you can, but I am not going to lie. In general, I have no interest in haggling over prices. I'm going to tell you all prices, and you can pay them or you cannot. But I give you guys gold, so there's no reason for me to spend game time haggling in general.
I know. I just trying to make the effort to buy the horn a bit more thrilling because I'm gonna buy it, but I don't want to spend that much. Let's see what I can do. I'm gonna try to.
Yeah, I mean, you can do a persuasion, but again, in the long run, just pay gold when you guys are shopping, because I do not find shopping as the entertaining part of this game.
Yeah, me neither. But since I don't think we have some combat today, I guess we could have some combat in selling stuff.
If you guys spend all day shopping, you definitely won't have combat today.
Never mind. I pay 3 gold.
In Gerhard's experience, what's the conversion rate between silver and gold and copper and silver? Isn't it 10 to 1, not 100 to 1?
Yeah, they're all 10 to 1.
Okay.
I pay for
Yeah, with that in mind, when he offers me 2 gold, 50 silver, I'm taking that as he's saying 2.5 gold.
yes, that's it. That's it. I paid the 3 gold. I don't waste my
Because
time.
yeah, I'm not going to scam him and take seven gold from him because he made that mistake. I think for what it's worth, it is much easier for us as humans to talk about 2.5.
So I buy the horn.
Is Zell? Are you going to leave, or can we spend a few more minutes here? I mean, okay, you know what?
I was about to say, like, if you would have said that the Zell might have took it. Like,
The horn?
no,
No, the 75.
the 75 silver, like Zell probably would have took it. Like, okay,
Yeah, again, it's not my job to screw you guys over. If I want to screw you guys over, I can kill you guys in an instant and wave goodbye to your characters.
the cobalts in the snow again. Thereafter,
That was a random encounter, and you guys made poor choices.
yes. So,
So I would say after the actual purchase of the horn, all 3 of you are leaving the Scrimshander's place at the same time. But you have a pretty solid idea that Scrimshander is quite literally inking of bone. And that's what that place is filled with. The only thing I didn't describe was that they had supplies for also making Scrimshander.
so like carving tools or such.
Yeah, it's like needles, predominantly for like the actual inking of the bone, but it does include some like basic carving tools.
So, is it only for bone, or could it be used for like wood too?
Kind of lost you on the mic, but you asked if it's good for wood as well.
Yes.
On some level, yeah, like some of the more basic things. I think part of the reason why you ink the bone without being a Scrimshaw expert myself, or Scrimshander expert myself, I'm pretty sure the bone is still porous in a way that the bone takes the ink very similarly, like how our epidermis takes the tattoo ink.
Yeah.
Whereas wood, I think it would actually soak through and eventually like evaporate from the wood, or dye it. I don't think wood will take the dye in the same way that bone does.
Well,
'Cause I'm,
how can I go to her and see how much that would be?
what are you looking for?
The Scrimshander, tools.
Like if you just wanted to get some basic things, I think you could buy carving tools, which is probably going to be like a set for like 10 or so gold. And then you could buy inks. But it's predominantly just going to be stuff that we'll pick out from the player's handbook.
Okay, yeah, then never mind. All right, yeah, we can leave the store.
Okay, wait, I'm sorry. Since we spent a little more time here, so while Zell's looking at the carving tools and so forth, Gerhard has an interest in history, nature, and religion. So he's going to look for pieces that are either of a religious nature, specifically Saloon, his deity, and he's looking for pieces that, from a nature perspective, are quite unusual animals. Like, so, essentially, not your run-of-the-mill trout and whatever, trout and deer. Um, and then history-wise, he's looking for any pieces that uh, have depictions of battles or conflicts.
So, like, the whole store. Be more particular. What are you looking for?
Yeah. Okay, so in particular, he's
Like,
looking
you hit
for...
everything that people would
Yeah.
carve stuff
Yeah.
with. Their
Okay.
religion, shit
Yeah.
that scares them, and war.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so the first thing he'd look for would be any pieces relating to saloon, and in particular, high quality pieces, made of ivory, not bone.
Roll a d20. Looking around, everything that seems to depict the moon or saloon seems to be quite old. Almost all of it is on very poor quality things, almost like just very simple tokens on things much closer to like shareds. But there's nothing that is especially popping out to you that is both quality as well as referencing saloon. And eventually she would kind of catch up to you. Most people don't have too much faith in the old gods anymore. The eternal night has turned people away from deities like Salud.
It's a pity. She never fails us, and just as the moon renews itself every month, I'm sure that soon this eternal night will pass. Uh, so the other thing he'd be looking for would be, or no, I guess he can ask this. Do you have any newer pieces that speak to these past two dark years?
There's plenty of folk who are carving for the Frost Maiden, hoping that with enough presence they may be able to persuade her to take the pain away, to bless them with her touch. But if you follow me this way, there's plenty of trinkets, as well as other nicer forms, though you'll find predominantly she's going to be placed on easier ones to make in.
Gerhard. Sorry.
Oro's been the topic of a lot of the newer carvings for those who are tempted to carve their gods into the bones.
Gerhard. So Oral is the Frost Maiden. And I guess Gerhard will ask this if he doesn't know the answer to that.
You can do a religion check. Yeah, I think you would know that Oral is both the goddess of night, the goddess of winter. She is very much the Frost Maiden is one of her names. She is cold-hearted and cruel. It's one of the things that they honor in that loneliness and personal suffering is what brings people closer to Oral. And part of that would be freezing and dying in the tundra. That brings you to Oral in the very essence of you're freezing alone and dying of the cold. But she honors the cruelty and the solitude of things that seem very off to most anybody else in the world.
Okay, last subject that he's interested in then, it would be if any of these depictions of Oral depict a companion or lesser gods or animal, or her with animals, like her with a pet or something on her shoulder or being on an animal.
Roll a d100.
22.
I think the closest form that you would see of her with an animal or of anything of an animal nature would be kind of a small white owl that's almost carved in relief, where they're doing like a black background and the owl is carved in on white. or rather left uninked, whereas the rest of it is inked. But I think you would see that motif in some of the section that she's showing you would be owl related.
While she is showing me this section, and I think should mention something about it, basically how the people had turned to oral in these hard times. Gerhard takes that opportunity to say, yes, hard times. We've heard that some hunters have gone missing, perhaps more than normal. Uh, have you heard anything about such goings on?
Roll a persuasion. I think I've got less folk who are carving for me, but I don't really know too much about what goes on. I do everything I can to move my wares and keep to myself in these cold times.
Of course. Gerhard essentially finishes up with his work with his browsing, and prepares to leave once a Brule spot is his thing, and everyone else seems ready.
Bruce put 3 coins on the table. Uh, you make a hard bargain, my lady, so I'll take the hard.
Good, good. Thank you very much, and enjoy it. It's a wonderful vessel.
I thank you, Beast. Goodbye. And Brew looks at Gerard. No, he leaves.
Zell's gonna go over to her and ask her, do by chance, do you have skulls?
Oh, what kind of skull are you looking for, young man?
Uh, animal skull. Uh, I say can be something big enough. I'll say palm size. This
Oh,
animal skull.
I have folk who do such things. What animal in particular would you like?
Maybe fox or a bird, maybe specifically maybe a raven.
Well, give me a moment to look and I'll see what I can find for you. Roll a D100.
56.
I'm, I'm very sorry. I don't appear to have any ravens right now. I have a fox skull, but it's been broken. It's not inked yet. You may find it usable, but it seems to have been damaged in the taking, perhaps. And she'll kind of eventually make her way over to you, and as she kind of gets to you, she leans into her arm on the cane, and she's going to reach her left hand under her robe as she pulls out a small skull that is again approximately palm size. It sits a little bit outside of her palm as she kind of reaches it out, and you can see that it seems like it was shot through an eye, and it basically broke out the front of the cranium as the arrow went through. So it has a lot of the actual like rounded portion of the skull, but the face of the fox seems to basically have been destroyed.
Zell looks at the skull for a moment, and then he kind of gives her like a look like, "Can I take it?" For a closer look, and he starts to kind of like look inside the skull and things like that, like kind of give an exam, and says, "How much do you want for it?"
Are you looking to commission Scrimshander, or is it useful to you in this condition?
It will be more useful in this condition.
I could part with that for 5 silver.
He gives her 5 silver.
Thank you.
Yep, and he takes the skull and he just kind of places it. Actually, he kind of carries it in his hand and goes towards Brawl at the front door. So he's going to leave the store.
So we should return to the tavern. What do you guys think?
Oh, let's check out the south side of town. This is once we're outside the store. Um, the path, the footsteps, quite a few footsteps led to the south side of town, despite her denials of the same.
I think we should look. I don't know what you couldn't find, but sure, lead the way.
Zell's following after them, but he's kind of in a kiddish way, but like looking at the skull with like curious, different angles and such. But he's following.
So you all can follow the tracks back through that area. You see, it seems like a lot of things have been brought to that building in particular. Other than that, it doesn't seem to have any sign of smoke coming from its chimney. It seems altogether uninhabited.
Um, is it not a house? Is it perhaps more of a storehouse?
It's a pretty large location. It could probably be a really big house if it were one. It seems to have plenty of room inside of it.
Zell breaks in. No, not
Whoa!
Easy.
You gonna break down the door?
no, 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 no.
Zell throws the fox skull away and kicks down the door.
For a for a moment, I thought you were gonna do a mini action.
No, no, no.
So there's anything of interest south side?
I think we should just note this building, but doesn't seem to be anyone around and no sign of habitation. Um, what time are we now? Is it starting to get into evening, or if not, maybe we should just return to the speaker's house for a few hours until the tavern fills up.
Just a question. This house we are looking at, does it look like it was a public house that people used to go to? Because you said there's tracks underground. There's any
Uh,
marking?
what are you looking for that would make you think that it's public?
I don't know. That's my question. May I look for markings or anything?
Again, from what you can tell, it seems to have a lot of traffic to it. Other than that, there's not really markings on these houses, so there's not really an answer for you there.
Okay, just making sure I didn't miss.
Roll perception or an investigation. Yeah, it seems that most of the traffic that leads to the south side um, of like the docks in the town, most of it seems to go to that particular building. Probably easily 3/4 of the traffic.
Interesting. Probably this place had it was something important that now is closed.
Gerhard looks at the tracks going to this building and tries to weigh how old they are, whether it looks like people have been here recently or if the tracks are really just frozen into the tundra or what have you.
As far as you can tell, it's all permafrost at this point. There's not much that you guys can gain from that place.
All right.
Back to the tavern then.
That sounds fine to me. Let's nurse our ales, though. It might be a few hours before it fills up.
Yeah, let's just sit there. For
I don't know how many ales I want to buy at 2 silvers apiece.
I'm gonna drink one very slowly.
I'm just going to get a water.
Okay, so we return to Luck, the Luck Liar.
Gerhard nods.
So yeah, you all are probably looking at about an hour of sitting in there before you see the first person come by. So you can kind of slowly go about your actual process of drinking. When Zell goes to order a water, Danae's going to kind of look at you a little odd. You're gonna have to charge you regardless there. We could do, a silver for a glass of water. If you'd like, I could heat it up for you.
Wow, how a water that expensive?
How much for a tea?
A silver. This is a paying establishment, you see. I'm gonna need to make something off of you all being here.
Sure, I agree, but a silver for a glass of water?
Think of it as a silver for the warmth of the tavern, and a place to seat yourself.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Gives him a silver. Gives him a silver for a tea.
So he'll bring back he'll bring back the hot tea as well as 2 more ales for you all. And once again, kind of return into the back. After a little bit after that, he kind of comes back up to the front. I've got a fresh stew I've just been finishing up here. Are any of y'all hungry before we start to have everybody coming in here and it might go pretty scarce pretty quick?
And how much does your delicious stew cost in this paying establishment?
Can do 2 silver for it.
Well, that seems like a bargain to me. I'll
One bowl? And I'll look towards
Uh,
Brule and Zell.
I'll take a
No,
bowl.
I don't want to.
So he'll come back out shortly after with two bowls. They're just like wooden bowls with big wooden spoons. And in general, it's a kind of hearty soup. It's definitely a trout soup. It smells very much like fish. It has some pretty minimal spicing into it, and then it seems like it has some sort of like reconstituted vegetable that is almost like kind of dissolved into the broth. So it's got a very thick, almost kind of like creamy style to it. Tastes a little bit like potato, so maybe it's a root vegetable of some sort, but it's definitely a welcome treat in a land of trout.
So Gerhard tries to kind of tarry with the stew. Um, is he totally finished with it by the time anyone else comes into the tavern?
I mean, it's up to you guys how fast you're eating. Like,
So
Uh,
so Gerhard would like to tarry with the stew, and when someone else comes into the tavern, he'll call out to them, "Oh, the stew today is delicious. I hope that you fellows, uh, try it."
make a performance.
Six.
I'll say Zell is eating pretty slowly, but he's kind of going back and forth between the drink and the stew.
So the first group kind of like looks on to you as you say that, and they're like, give you a little stare, go back to talking to each other, and kind of continue on without kind of too much recognition of what you've said. And they're just going to kind of take a seat on one of the long tables closest at first to the actual hearth itself. And they'll sit down. You shortly after see when Danae comes out towards them, and they start to order stews as well as ales and sit back. So, how long do you all intend to sit at the tavern and just kind of like silently listen versus actively trying to accomplish something in the tavern?
I'd like to eavesdrop the conversation.
That was not my question. How long are you trying to silently sit in the tavern while you are eavesdropping?
An hour. For me, an hour is enough.
Yeah, an hour sounds good. Hopefully, the tavern fills up a little bit more over the course of an hour.
Oh, sounds good.
To put it another way, I'm looking to see how fast the other patrons are drinking, and if some of them are getting a little, a little buzzed and a little talkative.
An hour is probably not going to do that for you. They are drinking like normal people, and normal people are probably not going to a bar to get wasted in under an hour.
That's a good point. So, uh, I think I gonna. Brew looks at the Chewie says, "I think I'm gonna be a bit more proactive. This is gonna take too much time." Bruce gets up and slowly arrives at the townspeople table.
As Brule sits down with some of the folk who've just entered the tavern, and they are going to look up to you as you approach and continue on with their conversation as you sit down.
Bruce says, "I hope I don't want to disturb you, but as I recently arrived in the town, I'm trying to know the people and understand you what you guys do. And if you don't mind, I would like to ask a couple questions, and then I will leave you alone."
Kind of like looking back towards you, they like kind of tilt their head a bit. You don't want to bother us, but you're coming here to ask us questions when we sat down together to have a conversation. So it seems like you do want to bother us. What, pray tell, do you have questions about? And do you have any intention of buying us drinks? Any way of saying thank you?
Uh, of course. Please, and then more to Wales for this gentleman. I pay for them. Yes, I'm bothering you, but it's gonna quick and gonna leave you, and you are going to get 2 free ales. So, I'm Brew, and may I have your name, if that's okay?
Berdane and Mickanau.
Is Gerhard close enough to overhear?
If you'd like to be.
I'd like to be, but not to the extent of going up and sitting down. But if he could have moved closer to the hearth or so and so forth, he'd like to be within earshot.
Roll a deception check.
Wow, not bad.
So they have now left you, Zell. You are sitting in the seat that you've been at. Brule is sitting down with the gentleman at the long table close to the hearth, and Gerhard is sitting down nearby, but at the table that is nearest to the hearth, having just walked across the tavern to sit alone.
So, Brew uh, nods at knowing their names. It's a pleasure to meet you. Just I'm gonna ask this, and then I go my own way. First thing I would like to know, how are things around here? I heard from your town speaker that you have problems with hunters missing. Is that normal? Happens around here, or is getting unusual? We are asking because we are problem solvers. We are trying to help the town if possible.
What
Uh,
about the sun not rising in 2 years? Could possibly be normal. People go missing. We work dangerous jobs.
Yes, I
Hold up
know.
1 second. What were you thinking there, Zell?
I was wondering if anyone was gambling anywhere. Like, does it look like they're like town seems
Quite
pretty
literally, right now, you guys are in the tavern with three of you sitting in three different parts of the tavern and two other people right now.
okay. Yeah, I have nothing
Right
to.
now, we went from you guys were going to wait an hour while you were like trying to wait for people to get drunk to Brule immediately walked over to those first people who walked in.
I understand the sun is not being have disappeared is not normal. What I'm asking is, uh, with all this happening, uh, something different is happening lately, or is business as usual in these dark days?
Tell us again, Brule, what your business is that you're worried about our business.
I not want to get in the way of your business. I'm only asking because we can help the town. See, we have skills that may help the town if there is problems that need solution. If you if you
Tell
both,
me about your skills.
I can. I have. I, I'm very skillful with a bow. I'm a warrior. You can find if there is problems with creatures, uh, people, something that threatens your town. I can help in this that way.
So you just go around from place to place, pushing yourself into other people's problems?
Sometimes,
Uh,
sometimes people pay me and my friends to help. That depends. I'm only ask because I feel you you here need some help. But if you say to me that there is no need, I will not insist. I'm not here to force
There's no
myself.
need.
Sim, oh, if you say so. Uh, Bruce get up and leaves the table. He passed by Gerard and shakes his head. These people, if they have something happening to them, they are not going to tell us. He speaks very lowly to Gerard.
I
So
guess are we leaving the tavern, right?
yeah, we should leave
Okay.
it. We will don't. I don't think this anyone needs anything in this town. We try to ask several times, and nobody seems to think there is need for anything.
Let me have you all roll intelligence checks.
Zell coming through.
Yeah.
Zell, Brule, both of you remember that Nimsy said busybodies will not be well received here. Try sitting in the tavern, listening, and keeping to yourselves.
Zell just kind of shuffles to like not a corner, more so like a side table in the bar that's like off to the side, and he's kind of he takes the skull out and just kind of examines it with the table, just kind of checking out the shape, and yeah.
Prue follows Zoe is sits not too far from the table of the townspeople and asks for another ale for him and takes the time to pay for the ales of the two men.
Gerhard continues to sit there, warming his hands for 10 minutes or so before joining his friends.
Whoa, friends.
What? You guys aren't my friends?
It's a-
Gerhard, so Gerhard is
Bru looks at Zell.
yours.
Bru look at Zell like, you is very surly today, Zell. Of course you are friends, Gerard. Drink a little more. Relax, Zell. You don't need to be so surly.
So
Hi.
Nimsy's going to come back by to you all, setting down 3 ales, and he's going to ask you all for 6 silver. And
I'll pay.
among that, he'll take the other 4 silver for the other 2 that you would order for those guys. But how long do you all intend to sit here? Danae's going to make it pretty clear. At this point, you're going to be drinking an ale an hour if you don't drink more. So it's up to you guys, but you do have to essentially pay to be inside of his tavern, is what he's telling you.
I'm gonna ask for that stew now.
So he'll set that up for you.
So again, once Gerhard's rejoined his co-travelers, he suggests that they just spend the evening listening. Why don't we just spend the evening listening and just get out of here at 9 or 9:30 since
Yeah, she goes at 10.
she closes at 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I don't think we have to stay here more. You have to sleep somewhere, so I think it's a good idea. Let's stay a couple hours here uh, until this time you said. And I'm sorry if I jumped the gun like he talked to them. I not known for my patience.
None of us are.
That's why I hid it behind a die roll, because it's perfectly fine for you to make choices, but eventually I can give you all clues if you roll to get a clue. But she tried to warn you guys not to ask questions in this place.
Um, there wasn't like a general goods store. Right, like there wasn't a general goods store. It was just the bone store, correct?
You guys didn't ask.
Well, uh, well, shit. Well, was there a matter of fact? You know what? Can I go to the barkeep and ask him if there was a general goods store?
Yeah, next time he's like out front, you just want to like grab his arm.
Actually, I'll do one better. What time is it? There. Oh, well, now.
It's early evening for you all, so it's like past where it's actually dark.
Okay. So, you said early evening, so like 4-ish, I guess.
You consider 4 o'clock early evening?
I'm I work night shift. I don't really consider much.
It's
evening.
about
Touche.
6 o'clock at 7 o'clock.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, here's the problem. You guys have no reason to know the time. Keen mind is absurd for me giving times, but the fact of the matter is there is no sun. If you step outside, you might be able to look for the moon and see where it is in the sky, but you haven't seen a sun for months of being in here,
Right.
in this area. There's no sun to judge the time of day. There's only if the aura is there or if the aura is gone. At present, if you stepped outside, you would find the aura is gone, and that's when people started to actually come into this place. So when they came in, that was probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock. But in general, again, like even giving you guys that much information is too much information, because you're literally looking at, are there auras in the sky? Yes, at somewhat daytime. If no, then where's the moon at? And if we can judge from the moon, that'll at least give us a little bit of an idea as to what part of the night it is. But Like if you ask somebody what time it was, you might get somebody who gives you like the moon is just above the horizon.
Okay. Yeah. So in that case, then I would like to next time the barkeep comes out, I would like to ask if there are any general goods stores.
Occasionally we have torques pass through here. Other than that, there's not really a general store. What are you looking for?
And I'm sorry, hold on. I'm sorry, I had a complete brain fart. What I was actually looking for. Right. I was wondering if they had this will probably sound strange, but maybe a playing cards or dice set.
Which do you prefer? Set of dice or the cards?
Cards, honestly.
Give me a moment. And he's gonna go around dropping off the ales that he has before he comes back out the next time, and he'll eventually make his way around towards you. And he has. I've got a set of cards for a gold, if you'd be interested.
Would you have a dice set by chance, or only cards?
Did I mistake hearing you say that you were looking for the cards? They were preferable.
Oh, I was looking to re retrieve both, but if the card's only available, then I'll take the cards and hand them a gold.
Like, if you were looking for both, why didn't you say that?
So you asked which I preferred, but yes, both.
Just gives you a strange look. And then without, like, actually looking away from your eyes, he's just gonna say, I only have cards. And he'll take the gold from you.
I don't believe him, but I give him the gold anyway.
It's probably safe to assume that he might have had dice, and he's just not gonna look for you.
That's fair. Okay, well, yeah, I take the deck of cards after giving him the gold, and I'll step back over towards the table.
So assuming that you all give it 2-3 hours here, what are you thinking?
When the next time Danae comes around, Gerhard says to him, "We're staying at the speaker's house, and we understand she closes."
Lost you after closes, but are you trying to ask for a time reference?
I think you lost him.
Whoops! Did I lose my internet connection?
He asked
May have.
for.
We lost
Oh,
you after closes there. Or were you
Uh,
asking
that,
for a time reference?
I wasn't asking for a specific time reference, but I was trying to ask for. We're staying at the speaker's house. We know she closes at 10. Uh, do you have some sense of whether we're close to that? And if you do, can you let us know?
kind of like looks at you. Ain't got no beds here. So you might
Of
want to keep
course.
track of it. And he kind of just like walks away. He's not a terribly friendly person, as you guys can start to gather here.
Yeah. Once he walks away, I whisper to my friends, "The less we speak, the better we do."
Seems like it. Let's be quiet and wait for a moment, see what we can learn, then leave.
So what's your thought? How long are you all hanging out here?
Uh,
Uh,
it, if it's roughly, um, if it's roughly like about 7 or like 6 or 7, you could probably stay about 3 hours and still have time to get back before.
I think 2 hours would be better. Wait 2 hours, then we leave.
Every time Gerhard finishes an ale, which he's nursing, he steps outside and tries to judge by the moon what time it is.
Speaking of the,
Let me get a Constitution check from you and an Intelligence. Oh, solid. Yeah, you're fucked already. So, a couple of ales into it, you're definitely struggling to see which one of the moons is the one that you should be judging about how fast it's moving. And you're
And
pretty
I have
sure
perception check.
Saloon's up there, but it's hard to tell which one you're looking for. So you can gauge an idea of time moving by, but perhaps keeping to Danae's schedule of how often you have to drink is going to be a little bit too much for you to keep track of. But as things progress, you guys are going to go for 2 hours.
I think it's best.
sure.
Sure.
So let me have each of you roll a d20.
Nice.
Brule and Zell, let me get you to roll a d10. My bad, no, you lost that one, Larry. Alrighty, so in the process of hanging out at the bar for another 2 hours before you all leave, this will effectively basically be a conversation that you guys have kind of walking back towards the town speaker's house. Zell is able to overhear word that the town speaker of Goodmead has recently been killed by a giant, and the giant kind of ran off with all of their ale, or rather a large shipment of ale, in which case that might explain some things, in particular why you're being charged an exorbitant rate for ales right now, is that perhaps Danae already has word of this. And then Brule, you are able to pick up that there seem to be thieves in Caer Konig who are prowling about the town, and Trovis has been unsuccessful in capturing any of them, or really isolating who it might be. But hearing some of these rumors, you gather a little bit more of what's going on around town. But Zell, you also will pick up that there appears to be a lot of loggers who are getting more and more worried about being out in the woods as loggers seem to be getting attacked. Many of them are not going out for logging anymore, and they are going out trying to hunt a creature that appears to be hunting after them. And as you kind of like hone in on that group who seems to be speaking, you will pick up that they seem to be talking about that there's some sort of moose that it's quite intelligently hunting them. They feel hunted by this moose.
I
Okay.
I knew it. Something was wrong around here.
Yep. It's basically Canada.
Yeah, but you guys came into it like you're using meta knowledge of me telling you, go to Lonelywood, there's something in every town for you to accomplish. You're moving up to somebody and you're like, hey, we're playing a game. I know you have a quest for us. Instead of going to a town and trying to actually participate in the town for a little bit.
I'm sorry if it made it seem like that. Actually, that was more so like Zell just was kind of off put by the sudden kindness, because he came like the last two towns where like well, Brennan is like he got the guards called on him, then he got thrown in jail in the other one, and then no, somewhat tortured. Then the third one was just like somewhat of a clusterfuck in a cave with kobolds, and he got downed by the kobolds. So it's like every town he went to, he's been attacked pretty much. So
Oris and
like
Nimsy are the first two nice town speakers that you all have met, so
it, exactly. So that's why he was kind of like, okay, something's up. This doesn't feel right. They're too nice. Like that's kind of what my angle was with that.
And in my case, I remember you saying if you want to know something, you have to ask. So I was trying to be a bit more, not to be too much intrusive, but I was trying to be friendly, offer help. But of course, there is always something that the people don't like about you in the 10 towns. They are not very friendly.
that is 100% the situation they are in. They are not friendly people. But most of what you have to do is actually find a way to meet people and not. I have no interest in hearing you guys walk up to people and say, we are adventurers, we're your heroes. Please shake our hands and buy us an ale. I want you guys to go places and try to like find out what is going on with the town without being like popping your chest out. We're heroes. Look at us. Like, try to talk to people like they're actual humans. Nimsy gave you guys a huge clue in the first, and Gerhard picked up on it. In the first moment you guys talked about what you were doing, she said, oh, you guys are busybodies. You're going to need to keep that on the down low here. That's not going to do you any favors. Like, you should have rolled with that thought that Gerhard had for you. That was meant to be like the initial clue. Like, this is not the town to approach like this. This town is very similar to Targos in the fact that most people you are going to meet here are going to have a very bad concept of people who ask the wrong or too many questions.
I think I misunderstood the word because I never heard about busybodies being. Uh, I just looked in the dictionary. So okay,
Yeah, that's my apologies. That's definitely something I'm not always prepared for the language difference. If there are things like that, please, like, that's a perfect time to step out of character and ask me questions because a lot of stuff when you guys are asking questions and meeting a town is going to be the improvisational of going about questioning. And I assure you, I did not prepare that question, that answer. That was something that happened on the fly.
I know it's my fault. I should ask, but I tried to get the word in the contest, so I was not sure what it meant. I tried to go with the meaning.
So you all can return to the house, and you can stay at Nimsy's. If you have anything in particular you would like to role play with Nimsy, that is perfectly fine. Otherwise, you all get back there. She is still up in that kind of like central dining area where she entertained you before. She seems to be having a tea. Kind of same style of she like welcomes you in, very quickly asks you to shut the door behind you, and otherwise kind of tells you you've did well. She's got about a half hour before she's going to lock up the house.
Zell and Brule, do you share that information that you got about those three rumors with Gerhard, who apparently has been sitting drunk in the corner?
I
I think
definitely
you'd be
tell him
good,
about
né?
this. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
I would mention to Gerard.
Uh,
Okay, so if that's the case, we heard Goodmead, Care Koenig, and then Loggers. And are Goodmead and Care Koenig other of the 10 towns?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I would like to maybe role play this with
So here, real quick
Z.
though, Goodmead is G, and Kerkonig is J. But again, when I tell information that is to a particular character, if I'm not hiding it, there's no reason that I see that it needs to be hidden, and it's up to the characters to then. If you don't want to hide any information, you guys are good to go to just have that. If they want to tell you particulars, they can repeat it to you. But in general, when I say something to the group, it is welcome for the group to have the knowledge, and the person would have to like delineate what they want to hide in character.
I go to Geralt and like I I tell him about this story of the moose, but I exaggerate the hell out of it and basically make it seem like some demonic like boar moose thing is wreaking havoc because he's drunk and I'm exploiting it.
Yeah, Gerhard is horrified at the at what he's heard. But
So we're going after it and we're going to kill it. Are you with me, brother?
yes, brother, I'm so excited that you think of me as a friend.
Brew shakes his head, fussing. The idea is to do that. Uh, that's why we're learning. Maybe you can find more about harvesting with this creature, because if he is a creature, is hunting, probably must be something like the monster in the lake.
Well, we should. Gerhard slurs out. You know, we should hook up with one of these logger groups that's trying to go out and hunt, because we're definitely going to be able to take on this monster moose. And I don't know if we should take it on alone, but we're going to be the. We're going to show these loggers, and he fades off and takes another drink of his ale.
I think you should, one, stop drinking. And two, you need to sleep, because you don't think you are thinking clearly. Uh, Give me your IO here. Come on.
Oh,
Be a
yes.
be a be a good
You
be
do
a
think
good
of me
boy.
as
Be a
friends. You
good
do
boy.
think of me as a friend. I love you guys.
Gerhard, as Gerhard is drunkenly telling me he loves me, I'm like, well, Zell is gonna go over to him and just like, you are very drunk, and I think that you're gonna be very irresponsible with your money. So I'm gonna hold on to your coin purse for a minute.
Bru raised his hand. Don't even think, Zell. Let me keep his money. I know where your mind is. Come
I'm
on.
just keeping it safe. Like he's
Yeah,
inebriated.
I can. If you are so worried, I can take care of this money. Come on. I know you have
There's
fast hands.
absolutely no reason that anybody is taking anybody's money right now.
No,
We
it's
are
a
playing,
joke.
only playing. Nobody's gonna take nobody's money, but I
No,
gonna.
I'm not gonna take his money.
No, I don't. Bruno, don't let him do that. Come on, everyone. Let's
He's
get some.
intoxicated. He is not sloppy drunk, guys.
Come on, let's get some
Um,
sleep.
no, I'm just enjoying this. This is fun. Drunk characters are hilarious. All right, fine. Well, let's see.
I never thought I would be the one to tell stop drinking.
Brule, Zell, roll con checks for me. Let's find out how drunk you two are.
What you want me to roll?
Constitution, yep.
I'm not drunk. I'm very well.
That is a stout constitution right there.
So, getting to sleep. You guys are waking up in the morning. What are your thoughts in the morning?
I think Zeva's idea is very good. We should see if we can find a friendly logger group, see if we can help with the creature.
Maybe
Completely
Mimsy
out
will
of
know. So
character. I was like a bit out of character. Moose are terrifying. So
yeah, yeah, amen. We will get slaughtered by a moose. I think they're much scarier than like we got you guys got. Yeah, I lucked out, but you guys got taken down by a couple sling stones. A moose is gonna just steamroller us.
yeah, so
Pretty
I
sure a
kind
moose is the
of
most dangerous creature in the Americas.
yep.
Probably closely followed by something like the predatory cats, but there just are far more moose in the locations where they exist than the predatory cats.
And they are very territorial and very aggressive with their young.
I never seen a moose in my life, so I believe in you. We have a lot of cats down here, but moose is not something we have here.
I was like, picture like a cow with bigger horns, taller legs, and just overall angry.
And not a
And,
good
and
image.
horns like they a freaking uh, bulldozer shovel.
Yep.
Not a good image to picture. I get you. You guys are telling. I so what we are saying that we are not going to see about that.
I think
Well, if we
what
go with a party,
I mean,
I know I don't want to suggest that we go out, only or three. I don't think we can deal with any bigger creature. I think we should at least walk with the civilians as they speak to maybe help them. I don't know. That's not entering the woods alone. Not is not something we should do.
I don't think we should take the moose just yet. I think that might need further planning or you know, until we're later. Well, until we're more prepared. But wasn't there something that Goodmead, wasn't it?
There's so, only
Goodmead was a giant that killed the townskeeper or tavern keeper maybe, and ran off with the ale.
Yeah, we could take a giant. Fuck that moose, man. The moose is dead.
right. You're saying that a giant is easier to kill than a moose.
What if we get the moose to fight the giant?
Right. Only good meat probably a day away at least.
True.
We don't have no idea where the giant went, so there's two ways we can do it. We leave this town, we leave the moose for another situation or another day, or we try to see if the quest you can fight it or find it. I don't know if even if we're gonna find the moose.
Maybe in the
Well,
morning we can ask Nimsy whether there's we can ask her about the moose and ask her about these groups of loggers going out and just volunteer to tag along. Not I mean, but if we go with the group is presumably going to be fairly, well armed. So at least it's not just three of us.
that is
That
true. And
that's
the
my
moose,
idea. At least if we go with more people, they have weapons. We have weapons. Maybe we have a better luck. But by ourselves, we can go in the woods. We don't know the woods. We don't know what kind of dangers there is. With a group, you have more chance to find out what's happening.
Zell, do you have any ranged weapons?
I have believe a heavy crossbow. No,
Okay.
I
Well,
have
I
a
mean,
light crossbow.
yeah, I have a crossbow too, and I know Brule's an archer. So, I mean, I think the safest way to attack a moose is from a safe location that the moose can't get to. So at least if we have ranged weapons, all three of us could contribute to that kind of attack if we could do it. I mean, but again, I think it would have to be in a group.
Also,
Let's think that all the information we get is that it's not a normal moose. It's a moose that is hunting them. he probably is probably intelligent. He's clever. So
If it's the next morning and Gerhard's head just is throbbing and he remembers, he's like, but Zell described a demon moose with red burning eyes.
Don't forget the horns were on fire.
Yeah, fiery horns.
so
We should
let's
fight.
try to speak with the town speaker. Gerard, you are the charismatic one. Go ahead.
Okay,
I guess he has a
so the
hangover.
next morning, yeah, Gerhard tries to work through his hangover to talk to Nimsy. So yeah, he'd like to talk to Nimsy the next morning, with the others around.
Yeah.
What do you have in mind?
So I think, sort of over breakfast, if she has breakfast available or something like that, he's going to say, so last night at the tavern, we heard tell of uh, a rogue moose and loggers parties going out to try to hunt it. That seems very dangerous.
Tall tales. It's nothing to worry about.
Well, nonetheless, I'm glad to hear that, of course. But do you know of any such parties heading out? I wouldn't mind just seeing more of this land, and if there is a moose, whether it's as red fiery eyes and a rack of flames, as I heard last night, or if it's just a troublesome moose, that might be the sort of thing that we could help your town with, and would certainly be happy to do that, given your great generosity.
Brew only
Listen.
nods agreeing.
Those are the tales of drunkards and psychopaths. There's nothing to worry about. The people who have gone missing have simply gotten lost in the woods and succumbed to Oro's treachery.
Brew looks at Gerard like trying to say, don't insist.
Yeah, Gerhard's not going to push it, but basically, if Nimsy's blowing him off, he'll accept. He's not going to push the conversation further, but he is definitely listening for deception when she sort of says that she doesn't think it's a big deal. He finds it curious that she'd believe that.
You can roll an insight check.
Come on.
Oh wait, okay. This is okay. I know this is going to be after the fact, but can I use my inspiration on this one?
First off, you should have waited for me to actually decide, but you can get rid of your inspiration. She is very clearly somebody who's taking a pragmatic approach to a world that is all a threat. In a very similar way as before, this is somebody who understands that every aspect of living on this tundra is deadly. There's no safe place to be. Sure, people seem to be going missing. Sure, people talk about a killer moose. But does that actually mean that anything is wrong? No. Because everybody dies, and this place kills people. I don't think you're going to pick up a whole lot more from her than just that understanding that she's aware of the moose. She doesn't want to talk about it, and she's going to deny it continually. And I think that's kind of what you can take away from that.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so Gerhard doesn't push the issue with Nimsy once she's away, or once they're whatever gathering up for the day. Maybe we could try back at the tavern, or we could try that building that a lot of that had a lot of traffic. But I think maybe we should try elsewhere to find one of these groups of loggers. Otherwise, there was also the idea that caravan might be back within a week or so. We could just stay here, go back to the tavern every once in a while. I'll definitely drink less, and again, try to hook up with a group of loggers.
At this point, I have no other ideas. I think either we try to find a group that accepts us to go with them, what I think is not real very good because they are very untrusted about us, they're not sure about us. If you're gonna stay here a lot of days, so maybe they get used to with us, but I'm not sure about this.
How much of this conversation are you all having in front of Nimsy?
None.
No, none. I tried to be clear that this was sort of after she'd gone away.
When only our three are talking without nobody near. Like we are talking low and without anyone near. Yeah, what you are thinking, Zell? What do you want to do?
I think we should go try to check out that store that was had the traffic first, see if maybe it's open. If not, then we should go to probably the hunting or the lodge party. Maybe we can offer some services to them.
Maybe. First, you have to find a hunting party. Uh, Maybe you should ask Nancy if she knows where the hunting party goes. Yes, this kind of
Uh,
thing.
Nimsy doesn't want to. She'll just think we're being busybodies.
You're right.
Maybe Day and I back at the bar, but not Nimsy. Nimsy doesn't want us to help us with this.
Maybe we should say we want to cut some trees down and sell the logs. Maybe you want to say that you want to start or to work on the
She's
log.
going to see through that if we have that conversation with her 10 minutes after asking about the moose and the loggers.
Maybe you should try this in the tavern. Maybe I don't think there's anyone
Yeah,
in the
someplace else.
tavern. I don't think there's anyone in the tavern you can talk about.
Maybe we should try that store that seemed to have a lot of foot traffic. We don't know it's a store. Maybe we should try that building that seemed to have a lot of foot traffic. Or maybe even the Scrimshander might know of a logging party, but let's have this. Let's explore this, not with Nimsy in the speaker's house because she's not buying it.
And we don't need to lose the place where we sleep. Let's have
Yeah,
a fight.
amen. It's the only cheap thing in this town.
All three of you have survival. No, wait, two of you have survival in this group. You guys also know that you can track an animal.
Yep.
I know I can. The question: can we enter the forest by ourselves and find this? And we are going to able to kill it. I don't know.
Well, maybe we could track it a little bit without the group, or that might be too risky.
Uh,
Because again, if we deal with this moose and we're alone, we're screwed.
If you guys think it is risky to go after the moose, don't go after the moose. I'm not just going to throw in NPCs in front of you so you guys can have a risk-free encounter. If you guys want an encounter is always going to be a dangerous thing to have.
I don't think we are have numbers or strong enough to find this creature right now.
Yeah,
I
but
would
mean,
say maybe as characters, you guys would know that perhaps it's time for you to just leave this area because you don't want to fight their moose. That you've gotten information. It is hunting people who are hunting it They mentioned that it was intelligent, so you have a pretty good idea that perhaps this is like the sea monster, where it is an awakened creature, and that it's goring people. Like Nimsy is trying to hide the fact that this thing is killing people. I think you guys have enough information that if you as players don't want to fight a moose, that perhaps your characters don't want to fight the moose either.
That's why I think we should leave here. We found all we could. We are not ready to fight this moose or find it, because before the fight, have to find it. I think we should try our luck somewhere else.
Okay.
I think we should leave town. Try to go east, maybe.
Do you want to check out that building, or are you ready to leave right away?
I think we should check out the building.
I think you can check the building. I think it doesn't hurt to look what is that if you can find what it is. Let's take a look in this place. Why it's closed? You see what could be. If you is nothing else, important, we leave town. What do you guys think?
Yep.
Sounds good.
So we leave the town speaker and go to the building that we mentioned.
So, what are your thoughts as you all approach the building again?
Is the door is closed? It is boarded? Is possible to enter?
Smoke coming from it this time. People
No
either
smoke.
entering or
Doesn't.
leaving.
Nobody entering, nobody leaving. Doesn't seem to have any signs that it's any different than last time.
Door is locked.
Knock on
You
the
can
door.
try the door. It's locked.
Knock before entering.
The door is
You
locked.
can try to knock, and nobody responds.
Oh, there is nobody inside. There is no windows, I believe, of course, because it's cold. The only way to find out what it is if we bring the door down. I don't think it's
No.
that's a good idea.
There's always asking about it. But you could also break the door down or try to break open the lock.
I have no interest to create another trouble with the law. I had enough for a time.
Someone told us that there wasn't anything going on in the south side of town.
The Scrimshander merchant.
That was the Scrimshander. Okay, well, we could ask Nimsy what this building is.
Maybe we ask the shopkeeper because she mentioned that this way Nimsy will be less inclined to think we are buzz boarding.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Say it again. One more time.
We should speak with the town keeper, see if we can find about this building.
Okay.
Maybe not getting Nimsy more or stressed about our questions. So let's go there. Let's speak with the. I didn't get her name. Irsky.
So yeah, entering back into the happy Scrimshander. She's excited to see you all, and kind of first thought is, "Oh, did you see something last time you'd like to buy? What are you interested in?" And she's looking most particularly towards Gerhard.
Yeah, Gerhard. So there were at least a few things having to do with Saloon. Were any sort of higher quality, like in particular sort of ivory or anything like that? He has an amulet, and so that might be his that's a holy symbol. So that might be his kind of quality threshold. If there is even an old thing of sort of higher quality, he might return to that.
Brew takes the time to watch Gellard look around. He asks Erskine about uh, you. I forgot you have you. We were walking down south side. We saw a building closed. Is that a shop?
So Gerhard, you have a really nice piece from Saloon that is carved into a necklace of two tusks that's kind of have like essentially they're like two crescents around a large like shell. So it's like two crescents around like a full moon. And it is 140 gold, and that is the only other piece of saloon that is a really nice thing.
Uh,
Yeah, you rolled terribly
seems,
yesterday. You're not getting something that's like normal.
yeah. Okay. So he whistles in appreciation, but uh, a little rich for my blood.
Oh,
Um,
you're interested in saloon? That's a beautiful. And she kind of like stops and she like waves Brule away for a moment as she goes on about that piece for about 5 or 10 minutes, just telling you about all of the details, how that was something she's carved over most of her life. She's been inking it. That's one of the few pieces that you actually can notice that there's many like layers of beautiful silver like in the actual ink, so it almost has like a pearlescent quality to the actual inking as well. But eventually, after like 15 or so minutes of talking about that, she looks back to Brule and she just kind of very matter of factly, like just with a little cough, looks at him and says, "At the end of the docks."
Yeah, yes, we saw
yes.
that building closed. Is that a shop?
Awfully nosy of you. I told you there was nothing important to be seen on the south side of town. But if you are so inclined, it used to be the inn, the Ramshackle. But after he killed himself, we've been storing wood there.
Oh, oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to create a problem. I just asked because walking there. You saw the place. Eh, I have nobody else to ask. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to intrude.
Oh, what a terrible story to hear of a man killing himself.
Some people couldn't take the darkness.
Indeed, indeed. Now, this beautiful piece that you've carved, are you in fact a follower of Our Lady Saloon?
No, no, no. I could care less about the stupid gods. They're all useless. But they have their purposes. Good way to say goodbye to those who you've put under the dirt.
Gerhard doesn't really nod, but he acknowledges her statement, places the beautifully carved pendant back, and kind of looks around to his friends to see if they're ready to go.
Val kind of scoffs at her statement. Where did Bro go?
I'm done. I'm here.
So, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. You just your name kind of disappeared off of the Roll 20 thing for a second, so I thought you disconnected it or something.
No, no. Oh, we better leave them.
But yeah, Zell just kind of scoffs at her statement about the dead and then kind of lets it go. but this, kind of like ignores his feeling, just lets it go and goes towards the door.
Bruce looks at Ilski for, thank you. I hope you keep doing these amazing pieces. Goodbye. And Bruce looks at Gerard. He moves his hands, saying to him, let's go.
Yep, Gerhard leaves.
Outside, I say, well, a lot of things to do, but I don't know if you can enter the woods and take the risk. I think we should leave town. Now we have to decide where we're going because walking the snow without knowing which direction is a bit tricky.
Well, I'd say that we could start making our way towards one of those places. I know in addition to the thieves, there was a thieves
Uh,
issue, which was one thing, but also wasn't there something in F and G? I think we learned last week of things in F and G in Dugan's Hole. There was definitely something going on in Dugan's Hole.
there was wolves at Dugan's Hole.
Wolves are better than moose.
Are you
Yeah, I
sure?
believe it.
No, not at all.
If you have 10 wolves, that's not very good.
Sure.
So I
Wolves,
think I
wolves eat
think we
other
should
wolves.
go east, but the closest place from our position, aside Terry Lane, is the two castles by the other lake. I think I don't know. We have to walk a lot, like Kair Konik or Kai Carnival. They are closer than the rest, but I don't think the travel is safe. I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
to take the roads, wouldn't we have to backtrack through Tourmaline, Targos, and then Bryn Shander before we get to the east way? Because I see down here, that's the road uh Caer Dineval and Caer Koenig.
Right. So what we do? We backtrack. We try to stop at Bryn Shander. What do you guys think? Bryn Shander that must be the biggest city in the 10 towns.
Yeah, I think so.
It is indeed.
So if I recall, they sacrifice people there below that Oreo thing. They kill people.
And you guys are getting close to the new moon. It's a
Yes,
perfect time to be in that town.
I would like to be there when they have to that lottery. They have to, I don't know, kill the people to satisfy Oreo.
Oh, I thought they just had to go for a day without heat.
No,
There's
no.
a
This town they kill people. In Rinchander they kill people. So
I've actually wanted to ask. I'm sorry because you have. I apologize.
go ahead.
I was saying I was going to ask about like the rumors that like the children of what's the
Children of
children?
Oreo.
Yeah, that's it. I was going to
I,
ask about that towards Nimsy, but I was not sure if this was the town that they were preparing in.
I don't think they are friendly enough to tell us about this.
Do you want to ask her?
Please don't.
no busybody. I do not want to be a busybody with Nimsy
No,
anymore.
I'm not going
Don't
to
tell
ask
him
her.
how to play his character. I want to
Fair
ask
enough. Fair enough.
No.
Mark
I was
if you
going to
want to
ask
ask her.
her. No. I was going to ask her earlier, but I held off on it because I wasn't sure how to really, handle the situation with it. So no.
So you guys can officially leave that town. Let me have you all roll intelligence check. And Gerhard, you can have advantage on this.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I did Arcana.
Arcana's an intelligence, so without proficiency, that's the exact same roll.
Yeah, I have neither proficiency nor a bonus.
I think I have proficiency in ability checks. If I'm not. Nope.
Not a straight intelligence.
No, it's not
Intelligence is
intelligence.
just your memory.
Yeah.
Gerhard, you full well know that Nimsy was more than forthcoming to answer all of the questions that you all asked, except for when you guys posed that there was something wrong in her town. And you can probably gather from the way she was hiding the thoughts of the moose, she was just trying to make sure people thought her town was worth visiting. I think you guys got a much different view of her than what I was trying to put down. She was meant to be the friendly person for you guys to ask questions about. Just don't talk about the moose.
So, dang it, we already left. Oh
But
well.
in particular, yeah, I was putting that behind the idea that you guys are off leaving the place. And at some point, Zell basically shared that, and Gerhard can basically recall, yeah, I thought she was pretty good about answering questions. But that's kind of where I'll put that one, is that's something for you all to keep in mind, that Nimsy was the one person in that town who was pretty open to questions. She was warning you about being busybodies in other people's business when you went and asked other people questions. I feel like that statement, which was meant to be a warning, was what might have thrown you all off as players. But she was more than forthcoming to answer questions, and it's certainly something that when you come back to Lonelywood, that perhaps you can gain some more information from her.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good. So Gerhard's a little paranoid about Tourmaline, but he had been thinking about basically trying to stay at Tourmaline for that night of cold. But I don't really understand. Is it only Brynchander that sacrifices people, or do all the towns do that? Is that part of it?
No, there's places that sacrifice heat. There's other that sacrifice lives. I don't know if there's something else they sacrifice.
I feel like Zell was still there for the first one. Zell and Brule, do either of you remember when you all were given information about which 3 towns sacrifice people?
I remember it was Brinchadder. I have to look at my notes, but I don't remember the other two.
Because you guys were given the information that there are 3 towns who sacrifice people, but at this point you guys also would know that every town sacrifices something. The question is what is it that they give up in exchange for Oro's blessing each coming month?
Well, although Gerhard is paranoid about Tourmaline, the fact is Oris treated them well, and it seemed like a town that suffered from the cold. And so Gerhard was thinking about spending that cold night there, essentially just helping out, trying to, uh, essentially helping out. That was a thought he had in terms of being a good cleric. I don't know if the other people in the party think that would be a worthwhile way to spend that that new moon.
I think is branch there, East Haven. Yeah, I think Tourmaline also sacrifice people. I'm not sure. I
Oh
maybe
yikes!
yeah.
Timberlane is the one we got the. No, that's not. No,
Yeah,
Timberlane is the one with the orc.
Tourmaline was yeah Cobalt. Yeah, it has a lot of half orcs in it, and had the kobolds, and we got on well with them, and Oris was a treated us well. I just have a paranoia about essentially this guy, this kobold called Trex, who struck a bargain with Oris at the end of last week, and I was pretty paranoid about the upshot of that bargain.
Yeah, for sure they sacrifice people in Branchard and East Haven. I'm not sure about Tourmaline, but I think it is true. I have here in my notes. So to stay in this town, this kind of town, you probably be part of the lottery. If you get chosen, you get killed to satisfy Aureo. I suggest that if you're going to stay in a town, I believe you have to wait for the moon. It's not new moon because they kill people in these towns or they have a day without heat in these towns.
And then traveling during the new moon probably wouldn't give us much light to travel with either.
Yes, we have to go, but maybe you should stay here. I don't know. I don't think they don't kill people here.
Here in Lonelywood, do we
Traveling,
know that?
traveling in the new moon, like at night, you guys are talking about. That's when you would have, like, true pitch black here.
Yeah, we can't travel at night. We have to stay walk during the day. At
Yeah,
night you
but
have.
like during the day, still has the aura overhead, so it's the same light that scatters across the snow, like daytime.
We have to walk by day. There's some light. If you stay walk at night, it's dangerous. So we have to choose. If you go back, stay at the town we just left, Lonelywood, or take your risks. I don't know. I think you should consider our next steps.
Well, if we just wanted to wait out, what about Targos? Does Targos kill people? Because they ignored us once they extracted the confession from us. I think maybe we were followed around town, but they kind of ignored us.
If I'm not mistaken, they sacrifice heat. The moon, they all stay in the cold.
I don't have survival. I do have. I am a midwinter child, and the cold doesn't bother me greatly. But I don't know how wise it is for us to stay out in 45 degrees below zero overnight without. I mean, I don't know that we have the proper, you know, uh, tents and so
You're
forth.
right. We can't survive outside for too long. We have to keep some winter clothing, but we can stay all night outside. That's not safe. But we have to find a place that's not going to sacrifice our lives. Okay, I have a suggestion that we go back to Lonelywood.
Go back to the woods.
Yeah, I think you should return to Lonelywood and take our chance.
Do we know that Lonelywood doesn't sacrifice people?
I have here that 3 towns sacrifice people. Branchadier, East Haven. I have here Tourmaline. That's why I wrote in the first session.
Okay.
Okay.
So you guys are about to spend 5 days in Lonelywood.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm with it.
And what are you doing for these 5 days?
Well, every night I'd suggest we go to the tavern and quietly listen for rumors. And what we're listening for rumors, but also listening to hear if there's any talk of a particular hunting party going out after the moose. Not committing to it, but just listening for more information on the moose.
I'd like to make a very light scout in the city's limits to see if he has tracks, moose tracks. I won't leave the town, just in the limits of the town.
All right, that's literally like moments of your life. Part of what I'm getting at is definitely where Gerhard was going with that. Like, you guys are going to have 5 days of being inside of this town. So if at some point during the day you want to check the outskirts for moose tracks, great. If your nights are going to be spent listening for rumors inside of the tavern, great. But I want to hear, like, in general, you guys have 24, 120, 119 hours, I think, that you are going to be inside of this town. What are you doing for it?
Gerhard is also listening for opportunities, essentially to be a good cleric. So he's going to listen to for sort of stories of ill or infirm people that he might lend some aid to, and he's also going to be listening for more information about that about the suicide of that tavern owner, or he's interested in, but he's not going to be a busybody. Uh, but he's interested in understanding that, in hearing more about that.
Brew try to find some job fishing.
So, what are you going to fill your time with over these 5 days? I feel like perhaps he has stepped away from the computer. Um, Let me have a D100 from you, Gerhard, and then a D100 for Brule right now. And then again for both of you. Brule, roll a strength check. Roll a Constitution saving throw. Alrighty, so first day nothing really happens for either of you. You're not able to find anybody who seems to be ailing, suffering, or otherwise helpable. Um, First day fishing, everything goes pretty well. You're able to bring in 4 knucklehead trout, and you can make 8 copper from those. Second day, still nothing with anybody to heal or help. You are able to, or rather, my bad, Brule, while you are fishing, you are pulled into the water, and you are going to suffer hypothermia and gain exhaustion. Do you want to stay out and fish the next day, or are you looking to kind of recover as you kind of suffer from that?
Of course, I would rest because it's not very intelligent to go outside after getting exhausted.
And then let me get another D100 from you, Gerhard. Looking for people to heal on the third day.
Uh, I'm sorry. While they're doing this, can I go out into like the surrounding forests and see if I can find like any small like creatures to hunt?
Yeah, I mean, in general, I was waiting to hear from you what you were looking to do over 5 days. So if you want to hunt small creatures, that is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, just not anything like, big like a wolf or anything, like just like birds or foxes or maybe like rabbits if I see any.
Let me get a D100 from you, from Zell. First day, you spot signs, but you're not actually able to track anything where you see any animals. Do another one. Same thing, just kind of seeing signs. And one more. And Gerhard, roll a D3 for me. You can roll a D6, and we just divide by 2. You find somebody who's kind of comes out to you that they need help, and they seem to be suffering just an intense revulsion. And you basically have like their wife kind of comes out to you and asks you to help their husband.
Yeah, so I'll do that. I don't really see any spell. I mean, I have cure wounds and healing word, but I will definitely, sort of go to this, go with the wife to the husband, and just try to be of, sort of even general aid, just even, cleaning up and just sort of trying to be a good clericy type of person.
If I may, I have medicine skill.
Oh, wonderful. Yes. Why don't you let me go and try to understand what's happening, but I'll definitely or if you're just recovering, maybe you could come along.
Yeah, I go looking a bit exhausted, but I help you. Then I go to sleep.
Yeah, I would say on the 4th day you might be able to do that if you want to bring him along. Did you roll a third D100, Zal, for hunting?
What is up with these 40s?
Crushing it.
I think you are not going to find anything. You are looking at the snow and nothing.
Guys,
And then let me do a 4th from you all here. Actually, I should ask you, Gerhard, are you going back to that same person who you cannot help and who Brule seems interested in seeing if he can help them? Because it might not need you to roll.
I'm going.
Yes, I will definitely try to, I found a sick person and I'm just going to try to do what little I can to help them. And if Brule can bring medicine and that sort of thing, then I would ask Brule to help out as well.
I not a doctor. I take care of small things. As a soldier, you have to know how to take care of yourself in the war. So don't expect me to find out what kind of disease he has. If he has something I have seen before, I probably will help him. But if it's something I never seen, probably I can do anything.
Yeah, so stepping out of character a little, I'm just kind of trying to look at the spells that I know because like I would prepare um so detect poison and disease. Like, yeah, I'd probably prepare detect poison and disease just to see if this person is hurt by um whether it's poison or
Maybe
whether
if you find out what disease is this, it's easier for Brew.
Okay, you also identify the kind of poison, poisonous creature, or disease in each case. So yeah, that night he would definitely prepare detect poison and disease. And on returning, he'd cast it on the sick person.
Post that language for me on detect poison and disease. Should be like in the top right corner where it says like in white, written in red, like post on VTT.
Do you see that?
Yep.
When you go back the next day, the person seems to be fine. They respond that they recovered without any issue or anything at all. Um, and depending on kind of like when you go back, the wife would probably just be telling you that he was sick all day and ended up just standing up this morning like nothing had happened at all. And he didn't seem repulsed by me anymore. It was very, very weird.
Yes. Well, please feel free to find me. I'm staying at the speaker's house. Um, if if he falls ill again, uh, please feel free to find me. But I'm happy that it seems that he's better.
Thank you so much. Um, we, I appreciate it so much. You've been so good to us. Write down helped Ariana and artist Rainstone. And what that
Right.
can be on the 3rd and 4th day, so that's the 28th and 29th.
When that day start, can I have a conversation with Nimsy? I wanted to ask her about the sacrifices discreetly though, like kind of not without saying the sacrifices, but kind of like saying like, have you heard of them? Not so much directly of her town, but just like, have you heard of these sacrifices and such?
What are you saying?
Like, I wanted to ask her like, have you heard of like the sacrifices?
No, I'm saying this is one of the few cases where a narrative is not the option that you get. You don't get to say, I am not saying sacrifices while I ask about the sacrifices. I want to know how subtle that you, the person, can be as you ask the question from Zell's lips.
I am not very subtle as a person.
Exactly, because I don't think you guys are nearly as subtle as you expect to be when you ask about these sacrifices. And the children of Oral are something that you guys are already quite aware of is a dangerous thing in this area, and I'm just curious how you're going to go about that.
Okay, so I'm going to um wait, is it's in the morning, correct? Or is it like but this is the
I feel
fourth
like you
day.
just said on morning, yeah.
This is the fourth day or is the I'm not sure
Yeah,
I'm
you
not sure
guys, I'm
when.
doing things somewhat out of order because we're rolling right now your daytime activities more than the nighttime activities, but I
Okay.
think you said, yeah, like early on the 4th day, basically.
Okay. So I guess before he goes out hunting, uh like as he's getting his stuff together, he gonna goes up to Nimsy and You know what? You know what? I'm going to play this. I'm going to do this like the character. Zell goes over to Nimsy and kind of like taps her shoulder. Taps her shoulder, and he just kind of looks at her and like, "Hey, you got a second for ask you something? Have
Of
you
course.
heard?
How can I be of service?
Have you ever heard of the children of Oral?"
I don't think you can be in 10 towns for too long without understanding about their presence.
So then you are aware of what they do to people, correct?
Um, what do they do to people?
It might it might have something to do with these disappearances that you've mentioned uh, around the new moon. People tend to disappear, and it's not always unwilling in some circumstances, from what I've heard.
As if we didn't have enough to worry about. What's your concern with them?
Uh, I'm sorry. Was she? I had someone talking to me. My bad.
She just responded with like a concern, as if we didn't have enough to worry about, and then asked you what your concern was.
Uh, my concern was there might be a connection to these disappearances, and I've just been suspicious ever since I've heard the stories of these, well, sacrifices.
People have been going missing for quite some time, long before the Eternal Night, and Auril and the sacrifices that we all make have been a part of things growing more and more desperate, for sure. But that doesn't mean that the children have anything behind it.
Yeah, the type of, unlike most people who believe in oral or in, uh, what is his name? Geralt? Was it Geralt? Rod? Yeah, that's it. Or in Garad's situation, what was his deity's name? Salem? Salem?
Gerhard is a cleric of
Saloon.
Saloon.
That's it. Okay. Yeah, so in that case, Saloon. I'm not one to really believe in those deities, but death is more sacred to me. And when someone willingly gives themselves into that, it's somewhat distasteful, especially when it's forced or looked at as a requirement to appease something. It's unsettling. It Ever since I've heard of it, they've just been a bad taste in my mouth, and I really, really wanted to put a stop to it.
Eternal darkness is unsettling as well.
Yeah, no, true. Then again, where I come from, it's always dark anyway. So, yeah,
Kind of looks at you a little cross. Where do you come from?
Uh, very far south from here. Snow doesn't really touch there much.
And you are in eternal darkness as well.
Eh, more amongst the trees, yes, more or less.
Please don't relate your plight of having to move to the side to hours of having years of darkness. And she's gonna walk away from you.
It went better than I thought. All right, I'm going hunt.
So let me get another round of D100s if you all are doing the same things with your days.
I ain't find shit.
Yeah, you're pretty confident that hunting in these woods, they are far too encumbered with actual people who are out uh, logging the actual area itself.
I'm not a fisher. Tell as a fish.
And then night times, what do you all have in mind? I've got Gerhard as spending his nights at the Lonely Liar, the Lucky Liar.
We will stay with Gerard.
Gotcha. And are you going
Um,
to do the same?
Zell's at the Lucky Liar, and he's trying to, I guess, coerce people into playing cards with him, or like trying to subtly say, like, hey, do you want to play a round of cards or so, just for fun, to get them kind of like to open up a bit.
All right. Brule, let me get you to roll a d20. Every day after fishing, you kind of progress around the actual town and try to take a little bit of time after you turn in your gear and um, shit, I forgot about that aspect of it. You did have another good one. Roll another. Fuck, what did I do for that? I think I just rolled the d4. It's just copper pieces anyway, so it sucks regardless. You can take another 2 copper from, I think it was like your third or your fourth day.
You said that I got on the first day 4 fish. You got 4 copper for them.
It would have been 8 copper. It's 2 copper apiece.
Okay.
And then the fourth day, you got 1 fish, and you got paid 2 copper. I think the fifth day, you did not take any fish in. Um, so you got a total of a silver for going out fishing for these trout. There's a reason people are poor, and working somebody else's job is never the way to get ahead. Um, so you again at the end of your day, when you like turn in all of your stuff and you collect your money for your knucklehead trout, you try to make that kind of rounds of the actual town. You don't actually ever spot the moose tracks while you are doing this, but in general, you do get a sense for kind of the outskirts of the town itself, and at least gives you at least a little bit of familiarity when you all come back here that you might be able to approach with.
Okay. By the days passing, people start to accept our presence more easily.
Perhaps. I'm trying to end this day's session so we don't have to roleplay 5 days of you guys sitting in the town next session. So we are going to try to get through these nights with perhaps some level of shit happening. So my goal is not to have you guys friendly with Lonelywood. My goal is to get past you guys spending 5 days doing nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I look at the outskirts of the town. There is not much tracks. I spend the rest of the night with in the tavern with Gerard. We hear things, try to talk to people. Then I go back to the town speaker house to start another day.
Yeah, I know. I have to take all of these notes because this is all stuff I'm writing down on the spot. So, yeah. So the first night, let me all have you roll D100s for me.
Zell, you too.
Oh my gosh, finally over 40.
I hope it's a good sign.
Let me get a perception from you, Gerhard. Brule, roll a D10, and Zell, roll a persuasion.
Persuasion?
Darn it.
Roll a D10 for me, Gerhard. Yeah, persuasion, Zell. Brule, you overhear a little bit about the wolves that are haunting Dugan's Hole. They are approximately horse-sized. It's kind of the new information that you will pick up, but in general, just kind of stuff that you already have heard about. But you do hear about some folk who have family down in Dugan's Hole and seem to know a little bit about what ails it. Uh, and Gerhard, you're able to pick up that there are folk who have left Targos. They seem to have been on their way to Kelvin's Cairn, trying to find a famous Goliath who kind of seems to be a part of Kelvin's Cairn, and he apparently is a lycanthrope who can turn into a polar bear.
Oh, Gerhard's very interested in that because Saloon hates polar bears, so he'd probably actively he'd probably break out of his normal reticence to try to get any more details about that.
And then roll a D10 for me, Zell. You hear another person talking about how with Good Mead losing their town speaker and their ale, there's going to start to be a drying up of all of the ale stock in Icewind Dale. But you can collect 17 silver as you gamble with everybody. And all of you will effectively lose about like a gold and a half, I feel like, for each of these 5 days. So I think overall, just mark off, like 7 gold.
I haven't had any successful hunts, right? Or
Nope, all your hunts were unsuccessful.
okay.
You didn't get killed by a moose, though, so that was lucky.
That is true.
When you guys said you didn't want to hunt after the moose, and then you said that you wanted to go hunting for small game, I was like, oh, we're about to get a single person gets killed by the moose. Let me have you all roll T100s the next night.
And we're back.
You are going to lose 11 silver that night gambling, but you won't hear anything interesting from the folks that you are gambling with. They more or less kind of laugh at you for returning most of their money from the previous night. Brule, let me get you to roll a perception check, and Larry roll a d10. Roll a d10 for me as well, Brule. I think, Brule, you're going to pick up the information about the people who seem to have left from Targos some time ago, as if they are going to find Oyamaruk. Oyameneratok. There we go. Oyameneratok, the Goliath on Kelvin's Cairn. And Gerhard, you hear people talking about Bryn Shadar's lost the shipment pretty recently, and that some dwarves from the Dwarven Valley are willing to pay a solid bounty for it.
Shipment of ale, or is it not clear?
You just hear shipment. And then another round of D100s.
What the fuck? Yo, this is crazy. The one D100 I rolled over 50, and it wasn't even for the fucking hunt.
Brule, let me get another perception check from you. Larry, a D10, and Zell, you lose 3 copper. Or not 3 copper, 3 silver this night.
How is the odds to get 2 tools?
Roll a D10 for me, Brule.
3 truths.
Brule's getting all of the old missions. So yeah, you hear a little bit about the dwarves having lost a shipment out of Bryn Shaddar, that they have a nice bounty. I don't think you're going to pick up any fresh information from that. And Gerhard, you will hear that the people of Caer Dineval have not seen their speaker for quite some time. That apparently Speaker Cranach is ill and has started to keep himself to the care.
What was that name?
Speaker Cranach. Again, in general, you guys should have, like, you're hearing these things as you're kind of like trying to keep quiet, so spelling and like what you write down isn't nearly as big as just kind of understanding the like phonetics almost. And night 4. Let me get a round from you all. D100s.
In Roll20, I've somehow lost that right-hand panel. Does anyone know how to get it back? I'm just looking at the map.
I think you can move it, but I don't know how you would get rid of it. Like, you can make it bigger, so I might just have you reload it to see. Otherwise, I can see the numbers as long as you're still able to roll them. Those are the most important ones.
Okay, so apparently my D100 luck is just shit today.
So, Gerhard, let me get a perception from you. Brule, roll a d10 for me. And Zell, you are going to lose 9 more silver.
I'm not gambling anymore. Fuck this. Not just lose 1 gold instead.
What was it? I think you've lost 23 silver and you gained
17.
17.
Yep.
So you've lost 6 silver. I mean, that's not all that bad. For the fact that you are the one person who has something to gain besides just knowledge.
True. That's why I wanted to hunt. I was going to like actually sell the pelts and stuff, and then like I had a whole idea for what I was going to do with these things, and it's just not working.
Solid repeat again, Brule. You hear a little bit more about the honeymead that's gone missing. And some people have said that it's not a giant, it's much more of a humanoid that's just kind of big.
Okay, sounds like more information is good.
And then, final night, you guys are cold inside of the tavern as there is no fire in the heat. Let me get you in the hearth. Let me get you all to roll another D100. Let me get perception checks from Brule and Gerhard.
Seriously? All 5
Zal
days.
hanging out with them, you just don't hear anything. Let me get a D10 from each of you. I don't think anybody successfully hit the perception checks that would get you more information. And those are both going to be repeats. So 3 is more information. Apparently, Speaker Kranich is held in with the keep, and his bodyguards that he has newly hired are the Black Swords. And then 9 is the adventurers heading up to Kelvin's cairn. Yeah, I think you guys have kind of all that like initial information for them as well. So you guys have a lot more knowledge of the actual towns at this point. By my calculation and what I have in your party notes, which is again like the name wise is going to be some meta information. But as far as things go, you all now know that there are 2 intelligent winter wolves harassing Dugan's Hole, intelligent white moose hunting the folk of Lonelywood. The town speaker of Caer Konig is suffering from, I don't think I wrote down the thieves. Oh yeah, unknown thieves. Town speaker of Goodmead was murdered by a giant who seems to have stolen a large mead shipment. The dwarves of the valley are paying a handsome bounty for a lost shipment, and I guess I should write down that's Bryn Shadar. And Speaker Kranich of Caer Dinavel seems to have taken ill and is keeping to the care.
It's getting late for me.
I know. I was just trying to fast forward through those 5 days. I did not expect you all to take 5 days off to avoid the 30th. So we are going to pick up with you all the next day on the 1st of Alice, yes. I don't know how to say that one offhand, but hi, son.
Okay. Hope we have a lot of more people in the party.
I hope to have both of the Justins back. I know Sandoval will no longer be on vacation, and that is a big thing. I've not heard from the other Justin recently. I did not write down what he told me he had going on for these last 2 weeks, but I feel like he had a solid reason, and it just kind of slips my mind now. Um, and then I think I said that officially Madeline dropped out of the campaign. She's just kind of working with a difference of available funds and has dropped.
No, you. That's the first time you mentioned. But
Well, for Madeline, I didn't really want to say like what had happened, but like I think that same week she lost her job.
yeah, for that's terrible. It's okay. She can play. She has reasons. Nobody's can fault her. If you guys don't mind, I have really to leave because I have to help my wife with the little one shower.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sounds good. You have a
See
wonderful
ya.
evening here, Fenton. You all be well and have a wonderful week. We will pick up next week, probably with you all journeying, depending on at this point where you want to go. Will be much more open. But on some level, we know at very least you are going to pass through Tourmaline, and depending on where you want to go there, you can then kind of jump across the Dwarven Valley in a bit more dangerous, sticking to the paths that you all know. You can basically go through Tourmaline to Targos to Bryn Shindar and make a decision from there. But we'll kind of start with that little bit of deciding which ways you all go.